Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 100 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Scott from T-Biz Network in Arizona. Let's go!
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
What's up, bud? Oh, look at that. I got no shirt on underneath for you.
Damn, dude. Looking good. Do you have a drink there we can
I got a
cheers
DC.
to?
That's about all I got.
All right. Well, here, I'm gonna can you hear that?
Yeah, I've heard that noise before.
Whoa. All right.
Oh, yeah. Good pour. Good pour.
Thanks, dude. Well, yeah, so 100.
100. Did you realize that's like over 300 hours?
I thought you were just gonna say that's over 300. And I'm like, no,
Did you know that 100 is over 300?
pretty sure it's not. I think it's less than 300. But hey, one day 300, right?
Oh, yeah.
But hey, cheers, buddy.
Cheers, bud. Mm.
L'chaim.
I thought I'd get fancy for you and just do a little
What do you got on there? Logs? I can't tell what that is.
Sasquatch and logs and
Okay.
camping.
I got a
That's
card.
too much. That's just too much chest now.
It was a lot, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Here, party, bud.
Check.
Hey, Joe, I wish you had no shirt on.
Well, your wish is going to come true in just a
Oh,
minute.
hell yeah.
Look, I got this card for our 100th episode. I thought I'd read it.
Hell yeah, read it.
Says woohoo on the
Woohoo.
front. Woohoo. And it says, Andy, 100 shows! Exclamation times like a bunch. It says, great to see the progress of the shirt show. From COVID, supply chain issues, real talk, and many laughs. Thank you for not hiring me and encouraging my career. This is from Steve, and he came and applied one day, and that's how I met him. And I said, dude, because he said he was looking to do this detailing thing and have his own business. I said, you should do that. And we had a long conversation about that. But he says detailing cars at Inverted Detailing LLC is in full tilt. Too busy, so I had to mail a card. Congrats on 100 episodes of Shirt Show. Your number one fan that is not in the screen printing biz. He's actually listens to every episode and he's not even a printer, which is so cool. So from Steve. Yeah.
Hell yeah, Steve. Thanks, bud. Hey. We did it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we
Just sucks that
decided to
this is the last
record-
one.
Nope, no fucking way. We started and it's crazy to think that my first one, I don't know if it was for you too, but I recorded the first episode in my living room, like dining room, living room area.
Mine was in my home office. And
Yeah, it
the
was
dog
like
would bark in the background.
It was wonderful. That was like the COVID lockdown times.
I had like a shitty Amazon microphone that was like $20.
But
We made it work, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, should we talk about our weeks?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you should go first. I saw a post, I think I did anyway, and Pops is out there doing it. He's like back at it.
Yep. Yeah. We mostly this year we have outside projects like the deck at the end of the building towards the trailers, and then we're gonna double size our barbecue deck on the back because we have bigger
Super
staff
important.
now. Yeah,
You gotta
obviously,
have
you have to have that. It's part of the culture.
Mhm.
So we're gonna make the deck twice as big. We're gonna put a roof on it. We're gonna get a bigger grill and a bigger picnic table, so everyone can hang. And then just a ton of stuff out front. New handicap ramp, new part of the roof out there. So Dad's back at it. Dad's gonna be busy all year.
It's a good man.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I gotta make it up there and visit because it would be neat to see it, like the before and after. And I've never seen them before. Like you don't ever invite me or
I've done that a million times. You said you were going to drive up after your last excursion to Florida. You said, I have a car. I'll see you there. Here I am waiting.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I remember I did say that, but I had to get back.
Yeah, I know.
All of a sudden.
I'm just happy you're back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, I've done a lot of walking.
Oh.
Trying to get over my 10,000 steps a day.
Beautiful.
Yeah, things are good, man. I feel great. I'm trying to do a lot more stuff for myself. I'm trying to live it up a little bit.
Well, I'm proud of you. I mean, and it's that time of year, right? Because it's hard to get out and walk around when it's, especially when you are. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All that snow and shit. So I'm happy for you. One day, we can walk together. Like,
dude, I would love that. You come up here, we walk hand in hand around the lake.
Yeah. Catch a sunset.
JoJo can be like behind us filming it.
Perfect.
We'll sell it. It'll be great.
Yeah. Anything else happened this week?
I started a personal Instagram.
Whoa. Okay.
I haven't done that in a really long time.
And what is it like? Dylan.
It's upstate. It's at upstate.dylan. And it's just me grilling and mowing the lawn. And you didn't follow me yet. So, I mean, I see how it is.
I had no idea you started it.
Did you?
How was I supposed to know?
I followed you. That's how you should know.
Oh yeah, I don't even pay attention to that stuff. I don't even. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I need to get better at it, but it's been quite a week.
Yeah.
So if you started it last week, then I have no idea
what were you doing today? I saw you were doing a little playing a little game in your backyard.
You spying on me?
Yeah. JoJo's Instagram.
Ladder ball. Yeah, I had the
I play that, but it's a little different.
Yeah. We don't want to know. No, we had a
you do it with the family, so that's a little weird.
Yeah, it's rated G the way I do it. And we went to we got some breakfast. I got some Avo toast. That's what they call it here. AVO toast. And I got it's all different kinds. I got the Tex-Mex.
Wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah, you don't even know what it is, right? So it's toast.
Avocado toast.
Avocado spread.
Yeah.
Some like if you know the salsa that's black bean and corn and that kind of stuff, salsa.
Yeah.
There it's on top of it, and then over medium egg, and then some chipotle drizzle.
Sounds wonderful, man.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
And Hawaii 5-0 smoothie.
What was that?
I don't know what was in it. It was good. Somebody else got it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take one." I want to say there's pineapple in it. Probably why they call it that. So yeah, we did a little bit of that. It was beautiful out. A little windy though, but really beautiful.
How was the work week?
So the work week was.
Think of your words.
The work week was interesting. There was a fucking earthquake in St. Louis. Yeah, that happened.
Did you feel it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was sort of, wasn't sort of, it had stormed earlier. And then we heard this like what sounded sort of like rumbling thunder, and Joanne and but there was also, how thunder can shake the house. I don't know if it happens in New York, but here there's crazy thunderstorms. Well, that happened. And JoJo and I looked at each other and I was like, I think that was an earthquake. And we're like, it's probably thunder. This was before it was on Friday, and then I think right after we went out to dinner, we didn't think anything of it, and then we saw on the news that there was a fucking earthquake. Yeah, so you worried about me? I'm okay. Made it.
Yeah,
I think it was 2.9
on the Andy scale.
But look, when the shop punches, you have to punch back harder, and that happened.
Punched your employees?
It was a metaphor of the shop, Dylan. I didn't punch anybody. But fuck, man, like it was, and I think this is really important. This is how you become successful. This is how leaders lead. And I'm sure this has happened to you where you have like just a shitty day that everything's not working out. And instead of pouting about it or complaining or bitching or any of that, don't distract me.
I'm not distracted. Go ahead.
Nope, I'm going to wait.
Why? I'm listening.
You do this all the time where I'm getting deep and you try to, no, here, you know what? We're going to take a time out and we're going to do
I love it, Andy. I love it when you go deep.
We're going to do a little therapy sesh here. Dylan.
No, we're not.
Because people don't know this about you. Whenever we're on the show and I start to talk about something that is like feelings orientated, you call it feelings.
It hurts me. I fucking can't do it.
You can't do it. And so you avoid it. And you start messing around with shit like buttoning your buttons or putting this candy away or whatever it might be to avoid it. And guess what? And then afterwards, you know what you'll do? Call me. And you're like, oh man, you know how that thing was? And then you'll just spill it all out and pour out your heart. And people don't know that about you, but that is true. And so just sit there, shut the fuck up, and then listen. You ready? And then I'll finish. Tell me when you're ready.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That was so deep because it's so true and exactly what I'm going through in life right now. So it's so accurate.
Well, you know, your friend.
You just truth bombed me. All right, Andy, go ahead.
That's what friends are for. We know each other, and true friends anyway. Real friends just tell it like it is. And that's how it is.
Hey, look at me. Look at me.
Yeah, I am.
I'm right here with you.
Okay.
Spill your heart out, buddy.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how it works, is when shit goes wrong or shit happens to us and it feels like too much or whatever. We don't bitch out or we don't complain and we don't pout about it. In fact, that's one of the things you shouldn't do as a leader. You need to be calm.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're doing. I see the phone. I know exactly what the fuck you're doing.
What's the problem?
Such an asshole.
Continue. Go ahead. Just scrolling the gram.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to ignore you going forward, but I had a really tough week, and so yeah, when you have a tough week, let that or if it like if it's personal or if it's at the shop, no matter what, let that inspire you. And I've always been like that. Just let it fire you up to go and fix it. Do whatever it is.
Yeah.
To fix it. And so that's exactly what I did. And so I had Monday, I guess, was okay, and then Tuesday was challenging. Wednesday was challenging, and I came in here on Thursday and decided to just switch it up. I made some changes, and what the thing is like a lot of the changes that I made were just on the surface, but it was just positive stuff, and it worked.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you, man. And so, it's funny because this week was tough, and I was just away like on a break because I had a tough, whatever it was, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back to to what I did. And, I wanted to, what's funny is that the episode that we recorded when I was on break, we had talked about, just the challenge of the shop, like challenges of, running a shop or being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And it came out that Monday, and I had a lot of people reach out and check in on me to see how I was doing. And
dude, I had a bunch of people hit me up and they're like, "Is Andy okay?"
Huh. Well,
and I was like, "Nah, dude, he is so fucked."
Well, look, I had a lot of people call me, message me, text me, all that sort of stuff, and it warms my heart.
It should, yeah.
And
because we all love you.
It. Well, I love all of you too. So cheers to that. Thank you so much.
Fuck yeah.
The other day, I forgot to tell you this. The other day, Joe and I were having a debate, and I was winning. So she took off her shirt.
Hell yeah.
And it was a booby trap.
That's a win-win. You can't lose.
That was my dad joke.
I liked it.
Okay. Well, you have anything?
No,
to
just here
contribute?
to party, man.
Okay.
Your dad joke, it was real good this time, so I'm letting you have it.
I know it. I mean, if I say booby anything, you like it.
I light right up.
Anything else before we go into our sponsors?
If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Free posts on Instagram.
Dude,
Also,
we got so
too-
many likes on YouTube. It was like 30 something.
Wow.
Oh.
If you guys could keep doing that, that would be really cool.
What if we got 50?
Then I'll boil a hot dog.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. You mean live on the show?
Yeah. I'll get a hot plate. I'll boil a hot dog.
Yeah. And also for those of you who don't know, this was Dylan's idea, but we were going to get tattoos.
Ruin it. I'm doing it next week.
Maybe. Because maybe we might get them together in
We should.
Vegas. Like maybe save it for Vegas.
Get your face on my ass in Vegas.
Frank. He was one of those that checked in on me. God, I love him.
Yeah, so good.
It all starts with a screen, and whether it is new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFF,
Rank.com.
or
Greatfuckingscreens.com.
Dylan, cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it funner.
So
Their
much
line
funner.
of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Go check them out at easyway.com. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Action Engineering makes all kinds of accessories printers need. Go to actionengineering.com to have a look and then use Shirt Show at checkout and get a one-time discount of
15% off.
yes. You said that so well.
Thanks.
Monarch Color makes ink that does what it's supposed to do. Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Liv Moss.
Monarch. Finally, the 100th time I fucking said it without fucking it up.
You didn't flub it up. Flawless.
Cheers again. Maybe it's this delicious.
So much cheersing. Yeah.
Wow.
You ready?
Okay. Look at that. Yeah.
Hey, before we do, all right, just go ahead and drink it. That's cool.
Go ahead.
Just drink it out of the bottle.
Nope.
I just want to say, I love you, man. Thank you for spending at least 3 hours every Sunday with me. And we might not talk about feelings, but we talk about a lot of things that are important to us every week. And I love you for that.
Well, that's really nice of you.
From in here.
Dylan. That's
From
really,
in my
really
heart.
nice.
Right here.
It's really nice of you to say. I love you too, brother.
And everyone who listens to these fucking things, people who have listened to every episode of hearing our dumbasses talk.
What are you gonna say?
That's it. Just thank you.
Oh, okay. I see.
I was
Yeah,
saying
them
thank
too.
you. Yeah, to them. And also, too, I realize there's not a lot of people that, I mean, there's people who follow us on Instagram, which has like all the extras, but like not a lot of people know about the pregame. And that's like probably the best part of this whole thing is the pregames that Chad puts together. So if you're listening to this and you've never seen a pregame, go on Instagram and watch them. They're amazing. Chad edits them magically to make us sound horrible.
Well, that's actually reason enough. You're right. I mean, because what I don't know if we mentioned this before, but every I would say it's probably around Wednesday, Thursday, we get the pregame
Right. Chad sends it to us to check it out. And
yeah,
they fucking make me laugh every time.
because you never know, absolutely never know what they're going to be about. And I don't know. They're interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to do? Oh, yeah.
Remember when we had Lon on and I looked up Lon's his LinkedIn to see like, you know, his about
Now,
me.
dude, don't fucking. So here's what I was gonna do.
You did the same thing, didn't you?
Right here, and so I want to do.
You fucking printed it.
Yeah, because I thought this time it's so intense that I thought this time I want to, instead of say, hey, today we have so and so,
You're just gonna read it,
which is great. I think that if we get him on and I go through this, it would be even better. Like,
I don't
while
know,
he's
man.
here.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't like that.
Well, that's you, and you have a problem with your feelings. Maybe Scott doesn't. Maybe Scott's cool
God.
and he's confident and he's
You're
okay
saying
with
I'm not?
himself. And so I think we need to just have him on and just go through this, because wow, the expression on his face is going to be like, wow, holy shit.
He's gonna be like, I wrote that.
It's incredible. But yeah, you know, it's similar to Lon's. It's just so much stuff. And I think that I think it's fitting. I think we were trying to decide for 100th episode what, you know, we were going to do. And you know, we were talking to Floodpole, and he said that he actually went to the Screen Printing Institute and trained with Scott. So I mean, that said to me, or that reminded me of like, oh,
and the guy who wrote fucking the book on screen printing.
Right. Well, several. And I went to I have that book, and I have spent 6 hours trying to find it. And I went through every bin in our basement 3, 4, 5 times. And I just couldn't find it. Like, I even called, this is bad. Texted my ex-wife. I'm like,
you're like, hey, I know we haven't talked in years, but where's this book?
I thought to myself, I have to word this just right, because if I say it wrong, she's going to be like, if she has it, she's like, I don't fucking have it.
She wiped her ass with
it. She didn't find it. Yeah. She said she looked for it. Couldn't find it.
She's so full of shit. It was one of those like, yeah, let me look for it. Yeah, it's not here. She
made an honest effort to look for it. She texted me a few different times as she was looking for it and just couldn't find it. And so I'm pretty sure I have it. I just don't know where. And because I wanted to like show it to him so that he would like me. You know what I mean? I want to be like, look, I read this. I bought this book, which, by the way, has sold 160,000 copies. And I wanted to say I was copy like 1. Maybe I had the first pressing of your book. And I don't know what it was, but it was early. It was a long time ago. And
did you get it when you started?
Yeah. Like I got it in the late 90s. I'm sure. So, you know, so that's 20 something years ago. It's a long time ago. When did he write it? I was like 1970 or something. Holy cow. But yeah. It's oh yeah, so I thought that I would read some of these things and then he can just be like,
he's gonna be like, yeah, what of it?
It'll just blow our minds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
You like it? Cool.
I like it.
You ready to party?
We stretching?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh yeah. For the listeners, you gotta make the noises. Get those stretch noises in
Not
there.
me. They don't want to hear me.
Cracking and popping. Gotta get the tongue stretch.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
It's actually Scott King screen. It's like, gotcha.
He's in every episode.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, guys.
It's like the Lord. He's not even on video yet.
Yeah, we got audio.
It scared me.
Sorry.
I was like, what the hell?
All right.
There we T-shirts
go.
Behind you.
Most people listen anyway, and so the video's a nice.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We can look like shit. Nobody cares.
Yeah. I had to actually dig the shirts out. I used to have a little set behind me and I could do quick videos, and then a video in 2 years because of COVID. So I had to find my props. So anyway. All righty.
So what's going on, man?
I'm ready. Do I know you guys? Do I know you guys? Have we ever met?
I know you. I think we know you just like a lot of people from videos or trade shows and things like that. But we haven't formally met. No,
I didn't think we had. I follow your show, but I'm wondering, who are these guys anyway?
Well, I have normally we talk about who we have on or who we're going to have on right before the guest comes on. But with you, there is just so much here. I thought that we would mix it up and
Sure.
sort of introduce you. And for those who don't know, which I think most people do, but if maybe some people that don't know would probably be if you are newer to the industry.
Yeah.
That's possible. But for those who don't know, this is Scott Fresener, and he's been in the garment decorating industry since 1970.
Is that true? You got to say, is it true or false?
You're killing me.
I got this.
Very true.
I got this off of your LinkedIn, and so
that's old.
I hope it's true.
I don't go there.
But,
I don't. It's good.
You have traveled the world consulting large and small shops. You have co-authored with your wife Pat the book How to Print T-Shirts for Fun and Profit, which I owned a copy, and I still own a copy. Mine looks different than that. Mine has it's like black and red and white, I think, and it has this spiral.
You aren't that old,
there
are you?
it is. Right
you
there.
aren't that old, are you?
Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh my
It's
god!
got like leather binding, and he hand stitched it. It's from like a fucking buffalo.
Yeah.
That I dug for it, couldn't find it. It's somewhere, but that sold over 160,000 copies. You have developed industry standard color separation software called Fast Films and now renamed TSEPs. You have written over 500 trade magazine articles for over a dozen publications. I want to do that someday. That would be really cool. Like, how do I?
But it's a new world. The pubs don't have the readers they had, and it's not like it was in the old days when you had the press and printwear and T-shirt, whatever magazine, and you've got
impressions,
impressions, and now it's a different world. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's very true. But I still read articles, and I think that maybe that's just because Generation X or something. But I would,
I think so.
There's still like maybe a blog or those they have online.
Yeah, you should do that. You should do that. I mean, that's. I just kind of got away from that. Marshall Atkinson kind of owns that that market, whether you like Marshall or not. But,
me and Andy were talking about that recently, how we kind of wanted to, on our website, just like open it up as a forum or like a blog where people that we know that if they've researched a topic, be like, hey, write an article on this and just put it here.
You should. There's a lot of closet writers out there. I think I get maybe once a month somebody says, hey, I want to write for your website. My website doesn't get much traffic, and but I think that there's a lot of closet guys who know their shit. Who are maybe afraid to express an opinion, maybe afraid that maybe their shit isn't right. But
I just we have buddies that we all text each other back and forth all the time. If we figure something out specifically, or like Tyler, we always talk about him doing data, and it's like he texted me the other day, like all this data that he did on like an image versus what the ROI was and all sorts of stuff. I was like, dude, you have to write an article on this because if you don't, it's just, you can find out for yourself, but so many people would benefit from the research that you did. So
you should do it for sure. I love your show, by the way, you guys.
Thanks, man.
Trying to figure
out you're episode 100.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Took you a while to get to me.
But we thought it was appropriate, and
I love it.
Your
Thank
name
you.
came up a couple of episodes ago, and so it was like, hey, this could be perfect. I hope it works out, and it did. And I'm humbled to be talking to you right now, and so this is really I'm a fan, and so this is really cool.
Did you finish that LinkedIn?
No. We have just gotten started. But
yeah.
when you said your website doesn't get much traffic, I think that it used to. It used to be a place where it was a forum for people to talk about.
Everybody went there. Yeah.
Everybody went there.
I was the guy. We were the first guys to have really a forum that was busy. We had screenprinters.net. And I think we had, 10 or 15,000 members that all became buddies. They all went to show, probably like you guys. You go to shows, you meet up with somebody you never met in person, but you met them on a forum. And we were the guys. And then that crashed and burned. And I don't mind talking about that either, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Well,
Nobody died.
And there was classifieds there too, where you could buy and sell equipment and stuff, and so that was really hard to do before, your site really. And so that was revolutionary. I loved it. Let's see, you have given 800, it says at least 800 lectures and seminars at trade shows around the world. You've had over 14,000 students at the U.S. Screen Printing Institute. Is that still open? Is that something people
No.
can do still?
No, when U.S. Screen Print crashed and burned, I did seminars up until a couple of years ago with my son Michael at his shop in Bowling Green, and we would do seminars every month. But Bowling Green's in Kentucky, it's hard to get there from here. You know, it wasn't like flying to beautiful Scottsdale. You know, and so yeah. But I probably did 20,000 people. I mean that LinkedIn thing, I think I wrote that a long time ago. But anyway, but it's close.
Yeah, we
All
talk
these
about
numbers are
that
low.
stuff.
Yeah, they're low. But it doesn't
these
matter.
Numbers are, I
But
mean,
they're
we talk
good
about
numbers.
that sort of
But they're
thing,
good
so-
numbers.
Yeah.
They are good. I mean, that's, I mean, that would be, I mean, Dylan even is trying to get something together where with M&R actually, that where we talking some sort of educational classes, you know, and then also, what is it? Made Labs is trying to do something, you know, like a lot of people are trying to put together a place where people can go and learn how to screen print on various levels.
And it's something that we've talked about. I mean, Scott, you're probably on the same level as it's just like, I don't care who does it. Like, I don't care who officially does like Made Lab. Like they seem to be like ahead of the curve now because they've got a place and everything else. But it's like, I just want a place where all printers can go and like learn and get like I said, some kind of certification would be wonderful.
It's the problem is it takes, as you know, infrastructure. And so everybody can go, well, I can do it. I'll do it in hotel rooms. I did that, schlepping gear out of a hotel room, trying to make a washout sink and a recirculation. It's a pain in the ass. So then if you do a class every 2 weeks, you have the rent going on. And so the infrastructure is always the problem. And it always sounds so sexy on paper, I think, as we all know in business, that's the way it is. But but what do you have now? You got Ryan Ed. I'm not sure if they're doing classes anymore. Maybe they are. You got the Vastex, Lawson does their thing, but so much of that stuff is self-serving. You know, let's pitch the equipment. Let's show them maybe a little bit of stuff. You know,
Right.
So
The ink's on press or someone specific that's trying to get in there and everything else.
Yeah.
I get it. It's like I said, I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse on this because we've talked about it a bunch of times, but it's just kind of like, I feel like there's a million courses out there to teach you how to screen print. It's like, I don't want to teach how to screen print. I want to teach like technical shit, like people who already have a shop and it's like, they have people on press that have learned how to screen print. They just need to screen print better, or they need to just like
our management or our production control, or, you know,
that's what I want to see more of. I want I want those people to go, okay, I've learned how to screen print. Now I can actually call myself a craftsman and like, I'm certified in this, and then I've got this next certification and next certificate. It's just like, that's what I want. I don't want to be like,
there's a
this
need
is
for
how
that.
you code a screen.
No,
it's like,
no, there's a need for that too, but that's an entry level, you know, which is what I taught for years. Although the entry level guys, I see him at shows now, and like Liquid Blue, the guy, every time I see him at the show, I can't think of his name, John, I think it is. He goes, Scott, you sold me my first press. I came to your class, whatever, you know. Here's a guy with $1 billion company that came to my beginner course, and you know, a lot of guys can take that and run with it. Other guys crash and burn because they think business is easy.
I'm just saying, you get to a plateau, like you get to a certain point where you can take, like, I've learned how to screen print t-shirts. Someone comes to my door and says, I want t-shirts. You're like, okay, cool. I can print all day long, but like, is that print where it should be? Is like, you know, like there's the science and technical part of it where you can improve your prints and make them so much better if you know the knowledge, or you can just stay at that bottom tier of like, I can put ink on a t-shirt.
Yeah. A lot of guys are that for life, you know.
Right. Well, that's what they have no option other than like getting into a group or talking to other people and learning. It's like, there's no like, hey, I'm going to go here and I'm going to learn and get like a stamp of approval that I learned this shit.
Yeah. So how long do you want this thing to be? I can ramble forever.
Let's do it. I don't care. As long as it goes. Did you get through that LinkedIn, Andy?
I have not, but on the you mentioned something a minute ago that rang true, Scott, and that was you know, it's hard to run a business. Like that seems like it's the hard part. So I think, and it made me think, like, what if there was I mean, sure, it's one thing to train on the technical side of things and become a craftsman, like you said, Dylan, but for shop owners, I think that there needs to be something else too, because that is, you know, as far as running a business, most fail in 3 years, and it's really fucking hard. And so how do we, I think that, maybe for shop owners, instead of having a consultant come to their shop, even though that's customized and it's very specific to that shop, maybe we could have more seminars at conventions and things like that, that could help us with that sort of stuff.
I agree with that. I mean, there's a, like you said, you can pull a squeegee. I always tell my students in the beginning, making a screen's easy. Pulling a squeegee is not hard. It's just physically demanding. The hard part's going to be running your business and marketing and selling. That's where you're going to fail. You'll all be able to leave my class and print a shirt, but where you're going to really choke up is running the business.
And the truth of it is a lot of these dudes and girls and everything that are getting into screen printing are getting into it because they were in a band, or they well, I'm just saying, like, they didn't not that they're dumb in any way. I'm just saying
no.
The majority, right? But I'm saying the majority of us like fucking either dropped out of school or hated school. We're in like a punk band, and then we're like, oh hey, you know what we did as a punk band to survive? We sold merch. And it was like, hey, I can keep selling merch.
I can print
Let's start like, hey, DIY till I die. Let's fucking print some shirts.
I know.
But they don't know shit about business because they fucking sucked at school to begin with.
Yeah. No, it's a problem for sure.
You get to a certain point where you're successful enough, and then you're like, oh, what do I actually do to, like, I'm super guilty of this too. Like, I don't at all, and this Andy's made fun of me about this, but it's like, I don't at all pay attention to like my bookkeeping or taxes or anything. Like, I am an accountant that I literally pay her whatever she asks for. And I say, like, make sure I never have to look at this.
Yeah. Mine is my wife. I have a great partnership, and I have been married for 55 years.
Well, that's good, because she doesn't want you to fail either, because she needs that to live. So.
Yeah, she always controlled the money and was the CFO of the company. And I didn't care. My goal was to be the visionary, be out there, make shit happen, and then figure out how we can make money on it. So anyway,
and that's a good team. You know what I mean? So that, and if a shop doesn't have that, if they're wearing all the hats, I mean, then do what you did, Dylan. And so either outsource it or hire somebody internally to take care of that stuff, so you can focus on what you want to do or what you're good at. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so to run through a few more of these things, we have developed the first affordable software RIP for film output called FastRip, now called T-RIP. Developed the first affordable direct-to-garment printer, the T-Jet, and now was the first to develop and print water-based white ink with a direct-to-garment printer. Produced dozens of training DVDs on all topics. YouTube channel, youtube.com/T-Biz network. Expert color separator, which I might have some art for you to send you for next week. I don't know what your turnaround's like.
Pretty good. I do stuff like this.
Wonderful.
Nice.
I have my props, obviously.
Let's see. Offers online training courses on t-shirt printing, color separations, and computer graphics. Founder of www.t-biznetwork.com, a meeting place for garment decorators. But last, and probably not all, I'm sure I missed something, and definitely not least, member of Shine on Floyd, a Pink Floyd tribute band.
You did your homework. I'm not talking about my band. I gotta pump the band.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Oh my God, you did your homework. I'm impressed, by the way. That's all I care about. I don't care about shirts anymore. Don't tell me about. Is this going to be in this thing? All I want to do is play rock and roll and die on the stage as an old rocker.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Is that how you started? Was with a band, just like Dylan said?
Yeah, but it didn't get me into the shirt business. Although I met my wife playing in a bar. I was in a hot college band, and we were playing at a bar at ASU. And my wife came in, and she was young and I was young, and we hooked up. And 55 years later, but no, I got this. We'll hold it for the show, unless you're going to make this part of the show, because I have my quick story on how I got in the business.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I want to hear the whole thing, because there's a lot.
I was one of the biggest. I got married, met my wife in a band in a bar. I give it plain, because bands make what they make. Bands make now what they made back then. You're lucky to make $50 a gig or $100. My band makes more because we're a show band, but a typical bar band doesn't make jack. So I quit playing, but I started a recording studio, and I recorded local guys like a band called the Tubes that became the XLs, they became the Tubes. Alice Cooper and all those guys are my age. We all knew each other. We recorded each other back then way before they were Alice Cooper. But I couldn't make any money on it. So I started bootlegging tapes. I was the biggest 8-track tape duplicator in the Southwest. So I had my recording studio on the front. In the back, I had my 8-track tape duplicator running 24 hours a day with a half a dozen guys making bootleg tapes. And that was the days when you bought them at truck stops, kind of like shirts now, but the truck stops had these huge racks of 8-track tapes. And so I traded, when I started thinking this is actually a little not too legal, I traded 8-track tapes for a heat press and some transfers, because one of my biggest tape customers was a t-shirt guy that worked carnivals and fairs, and he bought tapes and sold tapes. And so I kind of got it. So I had nothing to do with really the music side other than I just got in the business that way. I was a bootlegger. And then funny thing, then a year later, I'm bootlegging.
How many people bootleg shit they get into this? Like, I'm learning that from this show.
Charlie Toddley, but who else can we mention? Charlie was a big bootlegger.
It's hilarious to me. Like, I didn't realize that at all. I feel like we hear the story all the time that you were in a band and you started screen printing, but more and more I'm hearing I was a bootlegger. Mm-hmm. And then I got into screen printing. All right, go ahead, continue.
Well, on the bootleg topic, Ryan Moore, 1,000-pound gorilla now. Ryan was in a band and started in this business by selling my book and a little kit on eBay. And so Ryan and I have history that goes way back when he was just in a band, like we're talking. The rest of us, you want to print shirts and stuff, So I just got in the business that way. I started bootlegging transfers. It was one of those funny things. I got out of a bootleg business because my kids were young, and I thought this is not the way to raise my kids. I have pictures of my kids. I had a t-shirt store, pictures of my kids. Michael was 3 or 4. Michelle was 5 or 6. In front of some transfers, just a family picture, black and white. Behind them is peyote, screw you, marijuana leaves. I mean, then it was, who knew? I look at that picture now and go, what a father I was.
Right.
So my kids were raised kind of like that. But I was in bootlegging transfers, and I was doing Mickey Mouse and way before licensing was a big deal. I mean, that certainly was illegal, but I was doing Coors and Budweiser and all that. And so I kind of got in the business that way. And then I realized,
how do you go about that though? Like, were you screen printing the transfers?
Yeah. I actually bought equipment. I had a flatbed press, and I bought another one. I had a local company called Copeland. They're now known as McCrary's Tees, one of the biggest suppliers of t-shirts in the Southwest. They were selling to J.C. Penney's, and they were my number one customer for all these bootleg transfers. And so they had a sweatshop in their warehouse of transfers. I was making the transfers. I found out where to buy parchment. I learned how to make a screen. I had a dryer that had heat lamps in it. And I was also working the flea market. I come back from the flea market with $4,000 or $5,000 cash every weekend. It's just insured money. And so it kind of evolved. And then I kind of get into just regular.
How do you go about thinking of what, like, you just look at what's popular right now? You're like, oh, people like beer. I'll make a Budweiser shirt and like a whatever.
Yeah. Back then, I mean, I'm 74 years old, just so you know. This dates me a lot. But back then I was doing the Fonz. I was doing stuff like that was trendy on TV. Welcome Back, Kotter. Anything that, just like now, nothing's changed other than back then. That's what was popular. And so I was just doing what was trendy. And
but were you creating the artwork for these things?
Yeah, I had a friend named Spider. Spider died.
Fuck yeah! Obviously, his name's Spider.
Yeah. Old hippie artist who I ran into, and he was a piece of work. And those
his
that
fucking name's Spider.
I know. I think he was from St. Louis or Kansas City or something.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. He did designs for me, and but then I evolved into doing car designs, and then it was pretty much, of course, back then it was all hand drawn and cutting overlays with Ruby Lith, and there was no computer graphics. And so Spider would do a complete car design with lettering and everything, cut overlays for it for $25. And so I went to all the speed shops in town and showed them samples of what Spider did. And I was the biggest printer in the area. I mean, I was the guy. And back then, though, there was only half a dozen guys printing shirts. This wasn't like now, where in Phoenix, Arizona, you probably got 200 guys printing shirts. Back then, there was only a few guys. My problem in business is I'm a serial entrepreneur. I just can't sit still. I'm always looking at that opportunity and looking at how to get an advantage. And so I became a large printer, and then I sold it to Copeland, the guys I was doing the transfers for in 1978. I decided I was just tired of printing shirts. I was running 3 shifts, decided it was time to move on, and sold it, and wrote the book. I thought, because people kept calling me after I sold the business, well, how do you do it? And I read a thing once that to be successful, be a public speaker, write a book, become an expert, which I did, and wrote the book. And Impressions Magazine had just started their trade show that same year. It was just one of those things, timing. I had a book out on how to do it. Impressions had a trade show. They asked me if I wanted to speak. Having been in a band, I didn't have any problem getting in front of people. My first seminar for an ISS show, it was like a 6-hour seminar, and I was broke back then. So I flew all night, took a red eye, got to the convention center at like 9 a.m. My seminar's at 10. There was 500 people in the room. It was one of those things where it was just a magazine. There was no books, but I just come out with my book. Hey, I got this book. We sold the hell out of it. But back in those days, the seminars were packed. Now, if you go to a seminar, you're lucky to get 20 or 30 people. Maybe you'll get 100 on a good topic, but back then it was 400 or 500 people. And just because there was nowhere to go, no internet,
Right. They can't learn it on YouTube.
No,
they have to go to the seminar and learn it.
So the sad story is, though, this is the last version of my book, published in, I think 2014, but I would sell 5,000 or 10,000 books a year. I mean, it was really boom, 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 selling books.
So
the last couple of years, I think we sold 200 or 300. And you got to buy 5,000 or 10,000 books at a time to get the print cost down. And so the book is out of print. I mean, I there's nobody buying books. It's all on YouTube.
So if I want to buy a book, I can't buy a book right now?
I have like 6 of these left, physical copies. But I made it into an ebook a few years ago with embedded videos. It's free. I decided I don't want this book to go out of print. This is kind of my legacy. And so I put it on my website, t-biznetwork.com. It's a free download. And you get the PDF. You can look at it on your computer, your tablet. And I've probably had 2,000 downloads in the last couple of years. And I figure, what the hell? Maybe they'll buy my T-Seps. They'll see that I do separations. It'll come back to help me a little bit with what I do to make money. And
I wonder how relevant it is, today, even though it was written so long ago. Like, is it still? You can read that and
sure. I mean, it's been updated every few years. Every time I ran out of stuff. I mean,
the nice thing about doing it on the internet is you can update it all the time.
I can update it. Yeah, it's great. And the videos may be a little dated. I think some of them are 10 years old, but still, you make a screen the same way. You still pull a squeegee the same way. You set up the press the same way. You determine your color sequence the same way. So the book is actually probably the only thing lacking. It has nothing on DTF, which is the flavor of the month.
Right.
It's got a whole chapter on DTG because obviously, I'm thought of as maybe the Godfather. Some people want to shoot me, other people want to kiss me, for DTG, and it's a love-hate, I'm telling you. So anyway, I had a guy wanted to punch me out at a trade show. My son was there with me. Luckily, he interceded and got the guy on the ground.
Why? Because he felt threatened by DTG?
He felt that I had screwed him on a DTG machine. And you talk to any, like, I don't care if it be Rico or anybody that sells DTG machines, you have people that love you and people that hate you. And the people that hate you probably shouldn't have bought the machine to begin with. You know how it is. Oh, let's print T-shirts, Mom. That'd be real fun. We'll buy this machine for 20 grand, put on the credit card and work out of our house. And it'd be really cool. Then they discover that they know nothing about, as we talked earlier, the business or marketing or, where the customers are. And you see it all the time on the DTG forums. You see a guy selling, hey, I bought this Rico machine, blah, blah, blah. It just didn't quite fit into my business model. Meaning between the lines, he figured out it was a lot of friggin' work, to do that. And you got to get customers.
It's not as simple as to throw a T-shirt on it and hit print.
Yeah. I mean, I sold machines at trade shows, and certainly we would show the customer, look, you push a button and it prints a shirt. And they go, wow, Mom, let's do this. And I probably was guilty of overselling it. And I look back and think, well, maybe
you were a fucking bootlegger. I'm going to trust you with shit.
Would you trust this man?
He's like, yeah, I used to bootleg this. Hey, you want to buy this machine?
Yeah. Rolex watch. So anyway.
Open your jacket.
Yeah. But then there's guys that think that I made him. I taught him how to make a living. I mean, with the book, I go to trade shows now, and everybody has the book, or most people have the book. The younger people don't because they go online to YouTube. But if they have the book, they want to come up and I joke they want to kiss my ring, because they, when you're an author, when you're an author, they figure you're the guy. And so I do have people that still want to do that, still like me. But I have a few people that probably think I'm the Antichrist. But
well,
I'm sure
it's nice to see someone actually, like, I know there's a lot of people that do that, but it's nice to see someone who actually went through the whole process and then started speaking, or then wrote a book. I feel like a lot of people now are just like, oh, I just want to immediately be like a public speaker, or like do seminars, or like, it's there's a couple people around here locally that say they're like, like marketing experts or SEO or whatever. And then you look at their actual marketing, like their Instagram or their website and all this other stuff, and it's so shitty. And you're just like, how are you the expert on this at all to like teach people how to do these things? So for you to go through and do this whole business and then come out with a book, it's nice to have that.
I was in the trenches. I mean, I printed my million shirts, and then when I quit doing it, having written a book, then all of a sudden I'm a consultant, and I've traveled the world. I spent six weeks on the island of Mauritius, which is in the middle of nowhere in the Indian Ocean, working in factories, and so I figure people often say, well, when's the last time you printed a shirt? Well, it's been a couple of years, because I did classes with my son, Michael, and Michael sold his business last year. And so there's nowhere to do them. But I mean, I'm there reclaiming screens. I took a couple of pictures. This is really Scott Fresener really reclaiming a screen. Yes, he can do it. So it was good to get back to that, though. And classes always kept me on top of stuff, because I would go to trade shows and I'd get the latest scoop from the suppliers, and the classes kept me really, really tuned in. I mean, I probably couldn't walk into a shop now and turn on a rock press and run it. I could have done an older M&R, because it's just all newer stuff, but still some things don't change, whether the separations are similar,
So you got out of the bootleg, you wrote the book. How long did it take you to do the book?
About a year. And the first book was actually typed. I mean, it was on a IBM Selectric, it was paste. We did the paste up, we did all the layout, and it's, if you look at it now, you go, it's a joke. You look at it and go, wow, that is really low tech, So then we went to, full color and big print runs, 5,000 or 10,000 books. You got to figure that those are going to cost $4 or $5 a piece. You tie up money, you got a whole warehouse full of, in the corner of on the skids of books, and you got to sell them. But the book became kind of the hot deal. And then the school became the deal. We started the school in 1979, U.S. Screen Printing Institute. Every month we did classes and have 30 or 40 students.
How did you go about that? Can you go through in like a little bit of detail on what made you want to start it and how the process worked? Like,
people kept asking me how to do it. Even though I had a book, people kept going, where can I go? Like you were saying, you want to do training for people that already know how to print a shirt. The business side, well, back then people just wanted to know how to make a screen. How do I do it? And so my wife and I, and again, I said, I'm the serial entrepreneur. We then were doing the impression show. So we had an audience. I was speaking at the show. We had a book. And so we rented a hotel room. That was my first introduction. You can just rent a hotel room, a meeting room. And I got Raynard to send me a dryer. Bill Raynard died years ago, but Raynard's still around. I ran to a guy named Riley Hopkins, who I didn't know, but Riley had long, kind of bushy hair. You should do Riley Hopkins, although Riley is so computer non-literate at all. He'd have to have his wife set the whole thing up. But Riley would be a good interview, I'm telling you, because of all the Riley stuff from Ryan F. Yeah. But I ran to a guy named Riley Hopkins, and he didn't know me. I said, Riley, I'm Scott Fresener. I got this book, and I'm speaking, and I need a press for my workshops. He says, where do you want it to go? It was just like that. I made all those kind of deals with no money. I got dryers, printers. My buddy, I ran into a guy named Richard Lebov, a little Jewish guy from New York that owned Union Ink Company. He was my mentor. I mean, he died about 8 years ago, and he was my father figure, I think. And I said, I'm doing these seminars. I need some ink. How much do you need? It was easy because I was the only guy doing it back then.
So this institute was not, you didn't have a physical building, permanent structure. You, at first anyway.
At first, yeah.
You had a convention. You rented out like an event space at a hotel.
Yes, yeah, that was all I did
for a day, I guess, or a weekend or something.
Yeah, Then I got tired of schlepping all the gear. It's like a rock and roll band. You know, you got to schlep it in, set it up, play the gig, and then go home. And so we then rented a place and did classes every month. I advertised in impressions. This was, of course, pre-internet, pre-Facebook. So, you know, but because people knew me from the shows, it was an easy deal. And every month we'd have 30 students, and we'd do sometimes 2 classes a month. And it was a great deal. But then being the serial entrepreneur, I thought, well, they always ask me, where do I buy equipment? Well, if I talk to Riley Hopkins, I want to be a dealer. Oh, okay. I talked to Union Inc. I want to be a dealer. No problem. So they would come to class, and if I look back, it's like Vastex does and Lawson does. It's very self-serving. I do a class, and they would use Union Ink in the class. They'd print on a Hopkins press. Clean deal. We would probably sell $30,000 or $40,000 worth of equipment for every class. It was with no warehouse, nothing. The ink would be drop shipped, and so it evolved into that. And we actually then evolved into having a camera. We taught them how to do a camera shot in the old days of, you know, you had your process camera. We had a dark room in our school. Taught them that, and then the computer came out, and I'm like, being the serial entrepreneur, wow, this is a game changer. And so we started putting together computer graphic packages as they got better, with a scanner, a computer, printer on vellum, you know, and sold them for 20 grand. And people would write that check, you know, because as you know, even today, the hardest part is creating the artwork and the prep, showing them a proof, all that stuff you do for no money, basically. And so,
well, I mean, the computer revolutionized pre-press. I mean, because I went,
oh my God, yeah.
When I started as a hobby, you know, just doing screen printing at the house, I used to have to go to the copy store to make my just anything. For one, I didn't even have a computer. Well, obviously this is before computers were out, but I used to go to the copy store to make my film positives, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And so, then the computer came out, and I didn't even have a computer, but I went to I can't remember, maybe it was Kinko's or somewhere, because you could rent them for an hour or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I used to run vellum through their printers and things like that. And sometimes film, you're not supposed to, but I used to do it just to make. So in other words, I was going to make a screen, but I had to go to a store first, you know, and then get some copies and then come back and hope they all lined up and like worked. And when I made my screens, you know, and so all of a sudden I got sort of like what you're talking about, because what was it? When you wanted to make film back then, you could buy like a developer, because I want to say they were like $40,000. What was that?
Well, you had a camera.
You
had a processor that had chemicals in it. You had a camera.
Yeah. They're really expensive.
You had to run it through the processor, and we actually sold all that stuff, and that was how we did it. The people that today have no idea what we went through back then just to make a friggin' film positive. Now you go open it up in AI, and you push a button, and out comes a film off your $400 inkjet printer, you know. But back then it was not that way. I mean, I used to tell people, go to Kinko's, you know, like exactly like you did, and do a vellum. And so it was a whole different world. People that today have no idea that we had the hand cut ruby lith. You mentioned ruby lith to a group of a seminar people, and you see the old guys, their eyes light up. The young guys are like, what the hell's that?
Sounds like a gem or a jewel.
I think that, you know, that used to be actually an entire industry. Like there were people that was their job, is to cut ruby lith, like you said, or to separate, you know, before the computer. This took all day sometimes. Oh yeah. And to typeset and stuff like that. I mean, this took forever. You know, and so now the computer comes out with illustration programs, and everything is lightning fast. And so I remember getting my first laser printer where I could actually make film positives.
Oh, that was a big deal.
It was
cost you a couple $1,000, but
it did, because I didn't want the 8.5 by 11. I wanted the larger,
of course,
one.
oversized.
And I bought Casey's vellum from Colorado.
Mike Casey, tall guy. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, but it had like, it didn't, what's it called? Like it didn't shrink or expand or something. Yeah. Like it was pretty stable.
Yeah.
And that's the way you did it. And it still took forever.
I know. And you didn't get paid for it, really. I mean, it was just how you did it. It was just part of the process. So being the serial entrepreneur, when Photoshop came out and CorelDRAW and Illustrator, I decided that if I really want to be in this business long-term, I need to kind of focus on computer graphics. So I decided that because everybody then was calling, how do I do it on the computer, Scott? And, you know, in the class, people were like, well, I don't want to cut this stuff like this. I want to do it on the computer. So that's when I decided to really learn Corel, learn Illustrator, learn Photoshop. And I'm glad I did, because I probably sold 10,000 Corel training videos back then. I had a bunch of tape duplicators. I'd put in 10 tapes and push the button and walk away and come back. We sold the hell out of that kind of stuff. That's all on YouTube now, but that's how it evolved. And it evolved to my separation software because, again, everybody was, how do I separate? The separations were the mystery. I mean, before I came out with my software and Charlie Fassini came out with a spot process, you'd send off to a separator and it'd be $300 or $400 or more for a simulated process set of steps. And you got to tell your customer who only wants, you know, a gross of shirts, well, it's going to cost you $400 for the separations, not to count just the 8 screens I got to burn. And so I kind of thought, I was teaching Photoshop and I was teaching so much stuff the same mouse click on this, click on that, click on this, click on that, done. Click on this, click on that. So I realized one day I could just automate that in Photoshop. And that's where my fast films came from, just automating what I taught. And it was a good
thing
deal.
is like, even with all these bootlegs and all this, you know, serial entrepreneur stuff that you're talking about, it seems like none of it is just like, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Like, you have an idea and you're like, oh, I could start doing this tomorrow. It seems like you have to learn like a whole big process and how to do it first, and then you sell it.
But you have to do it. You have to do it. I can't tell you the thousands of people that told me, well, I was going to write a book. And my internal thinking was, yeah, but I did it.
Right. So that's what I mean. It's like, you had to learn Photoshop and Illustrator and Corel.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
In order to fucking make the thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is, you're like, oh, I want to do this thing. But you have to learn the whole process first, and then you can sell it, because you got to figure it all out.
But you do that, and then you sniff out a need. So you fill a need, because the need was, to me, always, how do I do it? Started off with, how do I do it to screen print? Okay, I made my school. How do I then do separation in a computer? And I'm thinking, well, there's a market there, because if he wants to know how to do it, there's another 20,000 people that might want to know how to do it. And so my whole life in business was to sniff out that market and do it.
See a need, fill a need.
Yeah. And I think the first year I sold 1,000 copies at $1,500 a copy. And I should have just kept doing that. But being a serial entrepreneur is not always good, because you're always doing the next thing, and as opposed to focus and build what you've got. But that evolved into vellum. You know, back then that's all we had. Either you had a camera, or you're putting on an inkjet printer to vellum. Maybe you're spraying the vellum down with a Aquanet to make it darker or whatever, or run it through your dryer to pre-shrink it. And then inkjet printers came out, and I remember a guy named Jeff Baxter. Jeff was M&R's guy for years, and the DTG. I'm not sure where Jeff is working now, but Jeff showed me at a trade show an inkjet film that was clear film, and the black on that thing was dense, camera shot black. And I'm thinking, I said, how did you get that? Where'd you get that? Thinking there's a market for that. And he said, it's inkjet. Really? He says, yeah. And so I started asking around, and nobody had put together a system. I mean, nobody was really doing it. You could buy an inkjet printer, and if you told it to print black ink only at the darkest, highest photo setting, you'd have pretty dark black. But I felt there was a market there. So I snooped around online, found a company called CADLink, who now has Filmmaker, and CADLink's the 1,000-pound gorilla in rips. But CADLink wasn't doing any t-shirt business, any screen print business. But they had a thing called a rip called PhotoScript that a guy in England wrote. And they weren't even selling. They didn't know what they had, but it would do halftone dots. And, you know, I got a copy of it. I played around with it. It would do halftone dots. I told those guys, I think I can market this, but I need an exclusive worldwide to sell to the t-shirt market. And you need to modify it for me. Sure, we'll do it. And so that's where my fast rip came from. And the first year, I think I sold 1,000 copies, you know, because nobody had anything that would make a dumb inkjet printer that was a few $100s. Do halftone dots and dense black. And it was just a feeling that maybe there's a market there. I mean, that joke I've told so many times. I go into my wife's office, because we were in a big company then. I said, Pat, I need to buy an Epson. What's the model number? 1,200, 14,
1,400.
14.
No, before that, I'm having a mental block now. It was the big Epson sold for $1,400. I said, I need to buy one of these because I think I can sell a few, and I think we can sell some film. And so I got that. I got PhotoScript. I did hundreds of test prints to get the settings right. Told Catalytic, I want you to make it this way. A year later, we were one of Epson's biggest dealers for that printer, and we were buying film, inkjet film, by the jumbo roll.
Where did you distribute this at? Like out of from your website, or did you do this at trade shows?
I had a place, and once we developed once we had a place for our school, we ended up, because we had DVDs and videos, so I ended up having a shipping person and a little warehouse, and I had T-Ceps, I had fast films, and we had support guys. So we had a place, but it wasn't nearly big enough. It was like 4,000 feet for the school and everything. But we started selling the film, and we were selling the hell out of it. We were probably the biggest distributor of the inkjet film back then. But everybody has it now, but people don't realize back then nobody had it. They didn't get it. They didn't get that there was this little tiny T-shirt market that was really growing.
And you're saying that you needed a special film that could accept the ink and not smear. You know what I'm saying? So
it was
had
waterproof film, right?
Yeah, yes and no. That original film wasn't waterproof, but you could buy it from an art store to go through your inkjet printer for little mom and pop stuff. But nobody was really selling it like in bulk, and there was no waterproof then. I actually went to Japan on a trip when I was trying to get the T-Jet developed, and ran into a company called Pico Rico, I think. And they had this
perfect business name.
It was, and they had this film that was kind of milky in color, but it was waterproof. And I brought a sample back and gave it to the guys I was buying my non-waterproof film from. It was a big film company. And I said, if you guys could make this, it'd be really cool. Man, that'd be real hard. I can't do it. But how big is that market? Well, it'd be pretty big market. And so they sent their chemists out to me. They did samples, and they made the first waterproof film that we had in the US, and sold the hell out of it. It was just, this industry grew, and I kind of grew with it, helping. I always figured there's always a need for somebody to want to do stuff quicker and faster, because you don't get paid for going to Kinko's to get your stuff done. So anyway, that's kind of how it evolved.
That's insane, dude. Like I said, just figuring all that stuff out is so much. It's not the selling it. Like, I get that you're like, yeah, I sold this stuff. And it's even if you told me like, oh, I sold this, I'd be like, wow, that's cool, man. I'm like, you're the guy who like started selling this, but you were like, nah, I fucking like figured it out. And I like figured out this printer would make halftone dots. And then I did this and this. And it's like, that's what's crazy to me, is figuring it out.
It was a fun ride. And of course I was going to trade shows then, not only speaking, but because I had the book and other stuff, I was exhibiting. So I always had a vehicle to sell the stuff. I mean, my booth was one of the busiest booths at the trade shows. I do nonstop seminars of my separation software. And my sales guys would say they would just stand there like this with their hand out, meaning give me the credit card. And so I would do my little 10-minute spiel on fast films. And then I'd say, and go talk to these two guys over here. And they were like that, because people just lined up to buy that stuff.
Well, and when you say serial entrepreneur, I mean, that's exactly what an entrepreneur is. I mean, you saw problems in the industry, whether it was, how do I separate something faster, or what film would work better? What printer would work better? This kind of stuff. You saw those problems to speed up and make shops' lives easier, and you solved them,
I did. I think that's been my life, and just as an entrepreneur, they say they have entrepreneurial classes at the colleges. You guys are obviously entrepreneurs, but I'm not sure it's a teachable thing. I think being an entrepreneur is seeing a need and then acting on it, not just talking about it. Like, I, over the years, had a few students that came to my class every 2 or 3 years, and they still never started their businesses. They were going to take their sales class. They were going to take the entrepreneurs class at the local junior college. They were going to take a Photoshop class. Then they were going to take an accounting class.
I feel like too many people want it to be perfect.
They do. First. An entrepreneur says, screw it, I'm just going to do it.
Fuck it, I'm doing it now.
Really? Yeah. And so I think it's a hard thing to teach somebody to just do it. We talked about the screenprinters.net forum that we started way back in. Well, Michael, my son, and I started our first website in 1994, only because my friend at Union Ink, Richard, who I told you was my mentor, he was real active in computers. So he was the first to show me the internet. He says, Scott, come over here, look at this thing. This is called the internet. I'm like, okay, really? I'm going, okay, what do we do with it? Well, it connects all the colleges together, and they can all transfer stuff. This is really before web pages. This was all where it was called, I think it was called ArcNet or something, but he was the first guy. And Michael was with me, my son, and we go back home and go, crap, like we got to be on that thing. And I remember calling up the guys at SGIA when it was the Screen Printing Association saying, you guys need to have a website, because Mike and I, we built our website. And they go, no, that's kind of a part of our 5-year plan. We're going, no. I called my friends at Haynes Printables. I said, you guys need to have a website. Yeah, well, we're thinking about it. This was really early on when nobody had a website. And so we were the first ones. But before the website, I had a bulletin board in my bedroom. Bulletin boards, if you're really old, that was the early forums when people would log on to black screen, and type in a question, and somebody might answer it 10 minutes later because they got it finally. And so we pre the online forum, we had the BBS only because we just felt that it was a way to keep our name out there, So,
well, I think the hesitancy, why you said Haynes were like, and all these other companies were like, wait, that's 5 years down the road or whatever. I think it was that, how do you trust? Like, it was the commerce part of it. Like, who's going to give me, like, let's say I had a t-shirt shop and I wanted to bring it online before anybody really ever did. Who's going to trust me to take a credit card, for example? And how do I even process that? Like, how do I get payment, and a secure payment? And so that was the thing. And so that's why I think people initially passed on it and say, well, that's not going to work out because you were dealing in physical credit cards. I mean, when I first started, we used to run credit cards. We would like make a carbon copy of it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Slide the credit card.
I worked retail in my past, worked at a record store.
Yeah. There was no chip reader or
I know.
anything like
Who
that.
would remember that? Only but old guys would remember that you had the little machine.
I used to have to do that at the grocery store.
There you go. But now, I somewhere I was at their, I think it was Chili's restaurant, and the whole computer system went down, and they were running credit cards, but the girls didn't know how to do it. How do you run a manual credit card? So anyway, yeah.
I mean, so it was a trust thing. Like, how do you move business to online? And so it took a minute to figure all that stuff out. But if you were there first, if you just got there and then opened up shop, and maybe it was slow at first because certain people didn't trust it, but eventually if you were there first, I mean, that was probably key.
It was key. It was key for the knowledge. Because we had the books and stuff, we felt that, get the books online, get training videos online. I mean, I do remember my first seminar in Dallas at ISS show where I'd flown all night and I had old luggage. I felt like, I was poor, and I walked into this room, and there was 500 people. But I remember after that, God, it was such a high, oh, God damn, I'm talking to my wife. We could do videos. We could do a school. Well, it all happened. So I think a lot of guys would go, we could do all this stuff, but then it would never happen. And I think an entrepreneur says, sees that and makes it happen, so.
Yeah. Anyway. If you don't make it happen, then either someone else is going to do it. And then you're going to be like, well, shit, I had that idea 2 years ago.
Yeah. I could have done that.
Yeah.
But it all sounds so good. And the success, but I've had my downside. I mean, I've made millions and lost millions. It is what it is. It's if you're an entrepreneur.
Do you have any downs you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Cool. Yeah.
Happy to. I did the software, did the film output. I should have stuck at that, by the way, because what we were doing, huge business, just selling film, selling our own custom ink for inkjet printers. We were doing huge business selling fast films, the RIP, doing great business.
Go back to that real quick before you get into that. There was something I was thinking about asking you when you were talking earlier, and you've had the expertise in the years. Is there something with that? Like, I know, like, now that's like a huge market with like everything going digital and I know that there's like a lot of markup on that stuff. Is that like something that you're just like, oh my God, like if people knew what that really was or what it was really made of, like with the inkjet, where you were just buying a ton of it and then rebottling it and selling it in smaller packages? Or is it like something you're like, this is not as crazy as people think it is?
Well, the ink was really a cash cow, and so was the film. The problem, even today with inkjet printer, you buy the printer, you've got to then buy their cartridge, and it's got a chip on it.
Yeah,
and it's expensive. So guys like me found people that that will sell refillable cartridges. And with your name on it, and with a broken chip, they call it. And so the chip will tell that printer that cartridge is full all the time.
I had one. I had a resetter every time.
Yeah, you had a resetter. So we discovered that there was a market to sell the ink. The ink was, I sourced the ink, and I think it was probably even Epson's ink. And so we were buying ink in 55-gallon drums and then having it shipped to our cartridge guy who would then fill the cartridges with our name on it and stuff. And we had a shelving warehouse full of every brand of printer. We had ink for the 1400, the 1430, the 1520, all the printers with our name on it. And it was a cash cow because it cost, it was like a lot of things where, like, I think if people knew what a t-shirt costs, what's a shirt cost average, $1.80, $2 or whatever, and you put a little ink on it, and now it sells for $8 or $9 or $10 or $20, or if you go to a concert, it's $40 or $50.
Right.
But the actual hard cost. So I discovered that there was this cash cow, and the film was the same way. It was a cash cow. We bought the film in what they call the jumbo roll. It was a 60-inch long by, I don't know, that big a round roll that we would have sent to a guy called the converter. He would then convert it into sheets, put it in a box.
This is like a fucking like a mafia movie. Like, oh, send it down to the converter.
I know a guy.
There's a guy in the warehouse, Tommy Two Shoes.
Yeah,
converter.
I know, a converter. So that's what we did. So it was just.
What's interesting though, is it's like from the bootleg days of figuring out how to. Yeah, but you learned all those lessons back then, a lot of them anyway, because you were duplicating tapes, like you said, 8-track, and you had a duplicator or whatever you called it to make 8-track tapes. Well, it's the same thing here. You're doing a similar thing.
Oh, I agree. I think
it's the street smarts part of it. You
probably
know what I mean?
Probably so. Yeah. I mean, I think I was just never afraid. I probably should have, because I've certainly lost money, and I probably have people that think I'm the Antichrist, but I was never afraid to just hang it out there. I think an entrepreneur has to not be afraid. Just do it. Even with my band I have the hottest Pink Floyd tribute band in the Southwest, maybe in the US. Seriously, we are a good band. And it will only be, and if you look at my band here, I know I brought my props. You probably can't see that close up. That's my band. We have the circle screen. We have smoke. We have backup singers. We have a pig. We're a Pink Floyd band, and we look the part. And people go to our concerts, and they come back with tears in their eyes afterwards, going, "Oh my God!" I dress up as Roger Waters. I got a leather trench coat, and I got the hat.
That's what I was going to say. Do you guys like try to look like them?
I do. I do that. And the women at the end, they just can't wait to touch and feel that leather coat, because women like a man in a leather coat. but it's what I do. And see, I've done this all my life. So I found the right guys. I went through a few guys, and
that's so awesome.
I have to work now, even though I'm 74, to pay for the band. I probably have $40,000 invested in this band, because I have lasers. I've got moving lights.
Yeah, that's what people want to go for.
What they want to go and see. And we're now finally making money, because I am now renting venues myself. If the bookers won't book me, I'll rent the venue. We rented the Sedona. That's a beautiful place in Arizona. We rented the Sedona Performing Arts Center. 700 people, sold the place out and made a ton of money. Why? Because Scott and Pat Fresener rented the place. Just, they call it four-walling it. You have to provide your own ushers, provided the techs, everything. We rented it. And you just do the math, $30 a ticket by 700 tickets. The band was way happy.
You're your own management, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yes, we were. The bookers want to do it, but they want to book you into sleazy places. So now we're kind of renting our own places.
It was kind of the same. I mean, this is nowhere near what you're talking about, but it's kind of similar. Like when we were a band, like playing locally, when we did local shows, always sucked, because the guy who, like, fucking Paul or something, who put on the show, had this dirt poor shitty PA, and he would just have like a fire hall open, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a show." And like after so many shows of just like people yelling into a shitty PA, we were like, why don't we just buy our own PA? And we got like a really nice good PA, and we had like all the stuff we wanted, and we just brought like the whole rig. It's like, okay, we're gonna play, set up our own PA, set up all this stuff, and it was just like, it was so much better. It's like you're saying, like, it's for the whole point is to play and have people hear it. And it's like, if you want them to hear it and see it, why not make it awesome, instead of just being like, well, we have really cool equipment and we can play really good, but it sounds like shit because it's in this tiny, one speaker PA that's blown.
Well, we discovered that because you have the house guys who don't know, in our case, they don't know Pink Floyd necessarily. And so you've got the house guys. So we now have a 32 channel digital board. We've got our own subwoofers. But then you look at it and go, how the hell are we going to get this to a gig? So I bought a 7x14-foot trailer. So when we go to a gig, it's my wife and myself pulling the trailer. All the crap is in there. It takes us 7 or 8 hours to set the whole thing up, because we have a truss system. We got a video wall. We've got moving lights. We've got lasers. it's like you leave going, it's like a
But
trade
it's
show.
fun
If you
though.
ever-
That's
yeah.
the
I mean, you
point.
get on stage and you can see the old guys like me just going, they're just going, when we play the whole album, The Dark Side of the Moon, you can just see they're just like zoning out to 40 years ago on their first lay or their first time getting stoned or whatever, listening to Dark Side of the Moon. And it's something about it. And the women love Pink Floyd. It is so bizarre. I mean, women just come up. They just,
I love this so much.
I know. Hey, listen, before I forget though, I get my plug in. If you like what I'm talking about now, you have to go to my Facebook page, Shine On Floyd Facebook.com/Shine On Floyd USA, one word. And you got to follow me because the more followers, the more people think we got like 1,600 now or whatever. I need to get to about 10,000 followers. So if I get all the t-shirt guys to follow me, I'm happy.
Yeah, you should. You should.
So
That's so cool. So back to the film stuff, you were saying you had all these highs, but what were some of the lows? Like what were some of the things that you were an entrepreneur, you started and crash and burn?
Probably the biggest low was my business closed 11 years ago. A guy named Mark Mombarquette, who Mark had Bellcat was his company. And if you're in the business for a while and you follow direct to garment, Mark came up to my booth in like 2002 at a trade show and said, I think I can make a machine that'll print directly on shirts, inkjet. He said, I have the patent on inkjetting on fingernails. And him and his brother had developed a machine called Nail Vision or something. And they had a patent on where the women could put their fingers into the machine that would inkjet onto the fingernails. So he knew about that, knew about manufacturing. He says, would you be interested? Well, of course, Scott Fresener goes, wow, that would be way cool. So I said, yes. So 8 months later, after I'd given Mark some money and giving him a couple machines to tear apart to build a DTG machine, it wasn't really happening. I sourced a machine in Japan in August, and in October of that year, 2004, finally, in Minneapolis at SGIA, I brought out the first desktop direct-to-garment machine. Cornet had their first machine there. Brother was in beta. They weren't there. Only 2 DTG machines in 2004 at this big, huge screen print show, and called the T-Jet, and sold the hell out of them. Didn't have white ink then, so people were real happy because the heads didn't clog. It was just regular inkjet ink.
So you were just printing like inkjet CMYK onto like white tees?
On a white tee, and had a way to hold the machine, because the machine I got from Japan, I found they didn't have it for printing shirts. I went online and found these guys that made a machine for printing on wood. But me, I'm going, I can that print on shirts. We just need to find an ink that'll work on fabric. I knew some guys at DuPont, and I bought some of their inkjet ink for fabric, roll-to-roll fabric, and it worked in this printer. And so we had the ink, we had the heat in the heat press, we had a machine. I had a little holder, like a embroidery hoop to go down and hold the shirt in place. Showed it at this show, and I had more people later going, "Oh my God, I'm going to sell my screen printing equipment. You're going to kill this industry." And I thought that. See, that's where I got my head up my ass. I thought, "Yep, I'm going to kill the golden goose here. There'll be no need for separations." The market's changed. I was stupid in that, thinking that an established business would change overnight.
So having that experience with that, then how do you feel about things now? Because there's a lot of people that are feeling that way now about like DTF and
I know,
all this digital stuff on press.
It doesn't change. 2004, the first machine sold 1,000 of them the first year. Told DuPont they need to make white ink. They're going, that'll never happen in your lifetime, Scott. I remember the meeting vividly with DuPont going, no, we can't make white ink that would inkjet. But if we could, if we could make it, how big is that market? I said, it's not very big right now, but it's going to be huge. We don't have any money for that. 2 weeks later, their chemist called me that it was in this meeting. He says, his name was Scott Ellis. Scott's on their patent. He called me, he says, there's no money for this. There's no money. They don't want to do any R&D, but I think we can make it. He says, I'm going to put some little group together off the books, and I'll send you some ink to try. And he sent it to me, and it was kind of gray on a black shirt, but it was gray, better than nothing. And so then he sent me some more, and I thought I'd found nirvana. I didn't realize I'd found hell, because we went to a trade show, and DuPont was getting the patent official. And so they said, you cannot show this at the trade show until we call you, and we should have the authorization from the patent office or whatever, the approval. that morning, the day the show started, it was September 16th, 2006. I remember it was in Dallas, Texas. I remember this is a day that this industry will remember. White ink, inkjet ink on a black shirt. So we sold the hell out of it, but then heads clogged, people pissed and moaned, people sent their machines back. It was a nightmare.
What
And-
makes the white ink so challenging? Why does it? Clog
It's got what's
differently
called titanium dioxide, which is TiO2. So if you buy a car that's got white paint on it, DuPont probably sold them that paint to the car manufacturer, and it's got a ton of TiO2 in it. TiO2 is a very abrasive little particle. Now, I learned this from DuPont. They said, now this will be the downside. Fuck the downside. I'm Scott Fresener. I can sell this stuff. There's no downside. We'll figure it out.
I would love that.
So they said, but it might settle in the cartridge. It might settle in the heads. They have to shake the ink up and get it moving because the TiO2 doesn't want to disperse. It's going to be in that ink, and it's going to be abrasive, and it might eat away the head. We'll figure that out. So we learned the hard way that, nothing has changed other than the ink is now better, but still people have head clogs. You go on any of the DTG forum or groups on Facebook, it's the same story. So my concern is on like DTF now is the flavor of the month. You still have white ink. You still have an inkjet printer that people don't want to maintain. We sold, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 of our printers because we were buying from Japan, and then we started making our own. That was another mistake because I thought Scott Fresener, being serial entrepreneur, I can make this. I can hire engineers. That was the stupidest thing to do. So we made machines, but we went from doing $1 million a year, $1.5 million selling film with only a few employees to in 2007 with 60 employees doing $21 million in sales. It was like, wow, man, we're just doing great. But then, the dark side hit in, customers were unhappy, customers were pissed off. And then what happened in 2008? The economy crashed. People who were buying my machines were leasing them. In 2008, late 2008, you couldn't borrow money from a bank at all, let alone lease anything. And so we went from doing, on a good month, 2 million down to doing a couple 100,000. And we had a big building. We had manufacturing. That was the dark days.
Mhm.
Well, you say that was a mistake, though, but it sounded right at the time because you were trying to bring production in house.
was.
So you could control certain
Just the
things.
economy kind of screwed
Yeah.
you.
I talked to Rich Hoffman years and years. When we probably 2006, 2007, talked to Rich Hoffman. I think the future, Rich, is one of these machines with industrial print heads on one of your presses. And Rich Hoffman's going, M&R, I don't think so. I think he felt that, but he didn't want to partner with Scott Fresener, serial entrepreneur. Look at it now, the digital squeegee. It is exactly what we had on the drawing board, but we needed somebody who knew about the heavy industrial inkjet heads.
Mhm.
We had a machine that DuPont made that we sold a few. We took them all back. It had 16 industrial heads, and it would do 400 shirts an hour. But the problem was the ink was so expensive. You think a contract printer wants to have $1 worth of white ink on that shirt? No. So now the digital squeegee has the right approach. Water-based or
Screen
plastisol for the base, screen print the base. The white ink's so expensive. And now there's no head clogging, no white ink, no TiO2. Screen print the base, inkjet the colors right on top. My son and I we had it on the drawing board, but we ran out of money.
So how do you feel about now, like right now, as me and Andy are kind of, at that point in our business where we've got everything we need, we're happy with our shops, but there's the changes now as far as like, digital squeegee. Like right now, I'm thinking about personally getting a digital squeegee for my shop, and me and Andy have talked about DTF of like, all right, should we invest in DTF? So anything under 50 pieces, we just do DTF. And we've got, a ton of under 50 piece orders all the time. It's like, we could run that machine every single day or do tags or whatever else you want to do on it.
I think you do both. I'm just thinking the DTF sure fits that need in that small market. You should talk to, and maybe you already have, talked to Pete Balsoni. Pete Balsoni is the poster child for a digital squeegee. He bought one of the first digital squeegees. He's in Illinois.
That's that same day teas or something like that.
Yeah, same day teas.
Mm-hmm.
Pete was one of my first students at young. He came to class when he was 17 years old, and I smelled Pete as a entrepreneur. He came when he was just a kid, and Pete and I have been in touch all these years. He left the industry, went to the restaurant business, and came back to this industry. Said the restaurant business is way worse than the t-shirt business. But he was one of the first to buy a DTF, and I think he's got 2 or 3 now. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a real down to earth guy. You should just talk to him and see what he thinks about it. He did. This was a design that Spider did for my school years ago. Somebody found the artwork. I lost the artwork. I think Charlie Talib had a copy of the art, and they gave it to Pete. Pete, this was DTG, and it's
That's like a digital squeegee. You're saying?
Yeah,
Or
this is a
DTG?
digital squeegee print.
Okay.
And so it's a probably a water base, white underbase, and then on top of that, and so Pete did that for me. But I think that if I was screen printing now, I'd certainly look at it. But what are you talking about? $300,000 or $400,000, for the digital squeegee. You've got other guys that are showing similar machines, but it's going to be inkjetting the white ink. But the white ink's expensive. That's the downside.
Mhm.
You're looking at $1 a print. I mean, maybe for the small runs, but if you were doing thousands of shirts, I don't think you could afford to have $1 a print just for the white.
I think
Yeah,
that's why
no.
people like the DTF, though. I think that's because
They do.
You know,
yeah.
I want to screen print 1 through maybe 8 colors on over a certain amount of a certain quantity. And then DTF I want to use for the lower quantity and more
I'm with
colors.
you.
I mean,
And
if
I
it was
think
me and I would think about it, I would be like, all right, if the quality is there and the washability is there of DTF, if that they guaranteed me that oh yeah, this is the same as screen printing, it's going to last, it's going to whatever. That's probably what I would do at my shop. I'd be like, all right, anything under 100 pieces, let's DTF it.
Sure.
And everything over 100 pieces, let's screen print.
And you could do any number of colors. You don't have to have any separations or nothing, See,
And
I
it
was
takes time, obviously, to heat press them longer than
Yeah, but
the
still,
print.
but still, in the grand scheme, you put a low, I should say low wage, but maybe not as a skilled worker there doing it.
But it's even like those, I mean, I don't know if I should mention the thing because our buddy Eric's trying to do it, but it's like he's got those like automatic fucking heat presses and shit now, where it's like you have one person
It
standing there, you
spins,
put it, you put it
Sure.
on the heat press, goes around, and it's just heat pressing. So it's
Yeah.
like if you just pay one person to do infinite number color prints, now too, you don't have to look at it and be like, well, we're raising our minimums to 40 or whatever because they don't want to screen print them. Now it's like, all right, let's just do one
Yeah.
and we'll just heat press it.
Well, that was the
It's
beauty of DTG. I mean, I had my son Michael had one of our old DTG machines, and he had a little retail store, and people would come in and want one shirt. Okay, it's $25 or $30, but you crank it out and
Right. That's what I mean. It's totally worth
Yeah.
it. You could be like, all right, this shirt's gonna be 30 or $40 if you want one shirt. But if you're already printing a run of DTF stuff, just throw it in with all the other designs and then just print it and give it to the customer, and you make
No, I'm with you. I agree.
$35 or whatever.
I agree. I think there'll be the same issues of people that will buy that really don't have the business, don't have the customers. It looks real sexy, and they'll realize that the marketing is where it's at, and the running of the business is where it's at.
Well, that's the thing I'm seeing all the time now on like YouTube and all this stuff, are these people that want to start these clothing lines, and realistically, all they got to do is they got to buy a heat press. You could even buy like a Stahl's, like a nice heat press, like a hot, whatever they are, for say you spend $1,200 on a really good heat press, or $2,000 or whatever on a really good heat press. That's all they got to invest in, because they can go to Stahl's or to Supercolor and just be like, all right, I'm going to just order transfers and I'm just going to heat press all these shirts. And now I've got a clothing brand, or I can do your orders or whatever. They can just heat press everything.
Well,
they
the
don't even
internet's-
have to buy the printer.
The internet's enabled that, where now you can be working out of your bedroom, and nobody knows. The joke about the internet was nobody knows you're a dog on the internet. They don't know what you're doing, but it's a crazy time. So hey, I wanted to bring up one quick thought though. I got a call a month ago from my good buddy David Landesman that owns Lawson. David and I are good friends, but we haven't gone to shows for a couple of years because of COVID. And David said, "Are you retired?" I go, "Me? Retired?" So I wanted to dispel that myth that Scott Fresener retired. I do separations all day long, and I only do separations because I'm tired of doing separations to pay for my band. So I'm sitting there going, I'm so sick of doing these separations, but I have to do it because the money then goes into the band fund. But no, I'm not retired. I still sell T-sets.
So is that what you're doing daily? Is you're just doing steps for people?
I do steps. I have one guy that I do car stuff for. I haven't. What have I got here? This is not one of his. This is from Arizona Sports Shirts. But I do a ton of separations for don't know if you can
Oh my
see
God.
it.
The thing I
Stuff like
mentioned
that.
earlier, the SEP that I might need your help with is exactly this car, this same sort of car. It looks like
Oh,
a
sure.
dirt track car.
Yeah, real trendy. I do it all day long. I've got one
All right.
guy I've probably done 2,000 jobs for. I mean, it's just, I just crank them out.
No,
All right,
like,
well,
no
fuck it.
joke. I'm going to
If
send
you
this
want to
to
do
you.
that, what do you, well, not want to, you are doing it. What do you charge? Like, do you just do one-offs?
75 bucks. I have a lot of guys charge per color, you know, Dot Tone Dan, all those guys, and they're all friends. We charge per color. I charge a flat fee. If you want it overnight, though, it's going to be 95 bucks. If you want today, it's 100.5. You'd be surprised people that piss away 95 bucks because it's coming up at the weekend and they need it. And so it's a flat fee. Some jobs might take me 2 hours. I'm thinking, oh man, that had to grind out that 75 bucks. Other jobs take me 15 minutes and I'll do 3 or 4, you know, an hour.
Making it up in the volume.
Going to ching, you know, I probably do 1,000 steps a year, but people don't know that because, you know, how do you promote that stuff? I can't go on to Facebook groups that are not my groups and promote it, you know, so it's tough.
You got to do it on social media, man. You got to be on Instagram and
I know.
You got to
That's
be
how
on
I do
a
my band.
podcast.
Yeah, that's why I'm pumping it. 75 bucks.
I'm just saying, like, I see stuff all the time on Instagram that's just people doing what's that one guy? I kind of want to talk to him. He has that one called Magic Button where he just does SEPs and he plugs his SEP thing, but it's just like that's all it is. It's like a run through of him doing the SEPs. And it's one of those things. It's like any other video, like on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, where it's like you don't even have to be in screen printing. You just look at it and you're in awe of like, oh, he did a picture of Britney Spears, and it's like tick 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 through the SEPs, and then it goes back through and prints it. It's like that's all you would have to do is like record yourself doing a SEP.
I need to do that. My problem is I don't want to increase the business. I'm kind of at that quandary.
You got enough work to keep the band going.
Did I tell you I want to play rock and roll? I don't.
Right. I get it.
And my T-Steps business is steady. You know, I make money on that.
So Scott, out of all of these things, from having your own shop, being an author, writing a book, being an author, trade shows, consulting, inventing software and DTG and all these things.
Printers.
Yeah, printers. What did you like the most out of all of those?
If I look at my life, you know, like I say, I'm 74 years old, still rock and roll. But if I look at what's been turned me on is the travel. Probably the products got me there, but I've been able to, my wife and I, we've traveled the world. Now, it's usually a convention where you get a couple of days off to see the sites, but I've been to Tokyo, Buenos Aires, Mauritius, you know, I've been to Munich, Austria, you know, you name it, I have been there. And I think that's when I look back at my life of being a serial entrepreneur. It's been everything I've done has enabled me to really see the world, you know, see places I haven't been to, and make a lot of friends. You know, I mean, I can go in any country now or anywhere, and I've got people that have my product. You have my book. There's 100,000 other guys that are still in business, because I've sold a couple 100,000 books actually, but how many of them are still in business? You know, they bought the book and this looks really cool. This guy shows how easy it is to make it. You know, they don't realize it's the marketing, you know.
It's really awesome to hear you say that though, too, because that's like kind of where I'm at. That's what like I'm trying to do. Like it's totally aside from the business, but it's like just trying to travel as much as possible and like visit other shops and visit friends and like all this other stuff. That's like what I'm trying to do on the side now. Like the business pretty much runs itself. Like I'm here and I'm growing it and we're working on it and I'm always like doing stuff, but on the side, I'm always like, where can I go next month? Like I kind of want to like, go see a shop here or go see a shop there. And
you got to get out. You know, my son moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky when the business closed. And my son, who was in the business, his wife was from Kentucky. They moved to Bowling Green. We used to go back and visit all the time. And I was shocked at the people back there that I ran into that had not been to Nashville, which is 60 miles away. They had never left Bowling Green, Kentucky. You know, they were just there and that was their life, their family. And I always felt a little guilty when I maybe tell them, well, I just got back from London or something. It just, to me, you travel the world, it really gives you a different perspective on the world and on life, I think, and on people.
And your own home, because we got back from a week away and it was great to get away and have different food and different experiences. But when we got home, we had a whole new perspective on our home. Like, oh, like we missed this.
It makes you appreciate home.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you travel overseas, it really does, because sometimes you'll be like in my case, I would a lot of times do a consult job at some grungy, huge factory that has 5,000 employees and they're all living in a dorm, and you makes you really appreciate what we have in this country, what we're trying to keep in this country, And so, I think the travel has been the best thing. It's been, to me, everything I've done has been rewarding because it's helped people. I mean, I get people at the trade shows. I bought your book 30 years ago. I love this business. I'm still in it. I got my 10 automatics. You got me started. And so the real thing is helping somebody maybe be that guy that helps push him and say, you could do this, and helping him out and have a life, And so that's been rewarding, I think, is just being the guy that helped people have a life, make money.
Awesome.
But I don't see the people that went broke. I only talk to the people at trade shows that are still around, but how many people out there gave it up?
Mm-hmm.
But why'd they give it up? I think they gave it up because they thought it was easy. They thought it'd be real easy. This is going to be a fun business. My kids need shirts for their school. I'll print them. It'd be real fun. By the way, before I forget, my band needs shirts. I got these. This is 8 color. I separated it. I have a local friend that printed them, but now we're out of a few sizes. And I'm thinking, I'm going to talk to my buddy. I'm going to go over them. I'm going to print them myself as a 1 color print.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, that'll be fun. I have to get a picture. I don't want to do the 8. I don't want to pay for the screens. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll go print them myself. Take a picture of this. Yes, Scott Fresener can actually still print shirts. So anyway.
It's the same thing too. Like I'm doing this thing right now, this NYT Club thing, and it's like all the designs I'm making. Well, I've got a few multicolors, but it's like I have the option to make anything, like infinite whatever I want to make, and almost all my designs are like 1 color vintage.
Sure, trendy.
It's just what I want to do. That's what I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have the option to be like, oh, let's make it a 12 color. I'm like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah. It all looks good on paper. They have to make all those screens and do the steps. I'll put the film and all that.
I just like it. It's simple.
Yeah.
Simplistic.
One thing I did want to pitch, obviously I want to pitch things. I 4 years ago decided I have all this content that now was not on YouTube as much, all these videos, and it's an odd deal. I'm into music, and I saw online that there was a course where I could go and Hans Zimmer, who's my idol, he wrote all the major scores. He offered an online course through a thing called like master classes. I could for $90, I could go and take a Hans Zimmer online course. I signed up for it. I never took the course, but I signed up, and it made me realize there's probably a jillion screeners out there who would sign up for an online course from someone they know. I wouldn't have taken that course if it wasn't for Hans Zimmer. I thought, I'm Scott Fresener. People know who I am. I made these online courses, and it's my real cash cow. That money goes to the band too. But I have the t-shirt printing master classes, and I've got one on separating. I've got one on Illustrator, one on Photoshop. I probably have 2,000 students, and I call it the Delta money. Delta money is money you make while you sleep. And every day somebody signs up for an online course, and I get rave reviews. And initially I thought, well, they can go to YouTube, and there's a jillion videos on YouTube on how to separate. But why did I sign up for the Hans Zimmer course? I always use that kind of thing as my example. Would somebody buy this? Why would they buy it? I bought Hans Zimmer's course because it was Hans Zimmer. And so
reputation.
Reputation. Yeah.
Well, the hard part about YouTube too is it's free, and any Joe crackpot can start a YouTube channel and say, this is how you do this. And it might not be right at all. They're just like, this is how I do this, and this is what it is. So anytime you try to learn, anytime you try to learn anything on YouTube, you got to watch 30 videos and then take the average of all those 30 videos and be like, oh, this is how it's actually done. Yeah.
See, mine are, I use a service called Thinkific. Thinkific lets you upload your videos, and they track the student's progress. So it'll nudge the student if they haven't watched a video for a couple of weeks. It tracks how much they've watched, and so it gives them the whole thing at the end of the time. And at the end of the term, hands off, they get a diploma, a PDF that's got my signature and it's got the name. And anyway, that's been one of the better things. Awesome. Looking at how to make money without having to sit at my desk all day and be in Photoshop, which I still am. Mm-hmm. So still people that think I've retired, I'm there every day.
Still that entrepreneur.
Yeah, and the band fulfills the need. When my company closed, 2009, I went from having 90 employees at that time. And, a lot of employees, you have that, you're their dad, they come to your door and say, where do you want the rocks? And I would always go in the rock pile. You know how that is with your employees. I miss that. And we went to a lot of trade shows and I miss that. So the band fulfills that need because going to a gig is like doing a trade show. You roll up with all your crap, you have to hook it all up, and then you have to then be pretty, put on the smiling face. And then when it's done, you go, oh crap, we have to take all this stuff down, wrap 100 cables up. And it fulfilled that need for kind of being out there a little bit. So the band has been kind of my release.
Mm-hmm.
You would ask me maybe to give you call it a shop hack, but I have a advice that I give people a lot, having lost a business and been up and down. You'll make a decision today that you think is the right decision in your business, not knowing that it is totally the wrong decision, but you won't know it for another year, maybe 2 years. And I've been guilty of that, where being an entrepreneur, you make a quick decision without thinking it through. And I've made some decisions that were terrible. I mean, I remember telling Ryan Moore this, Ryan, when he started really growing, because he was one of my dealers at one time. It wasn't a very big company. And then we went out and then he started selling more film and stuff. And of course, grew like a maniac. And I told him at a trade show, I said, you need to watch your growth, because I've been there. You grow real fast. My company went from $1 million, $1.5 million to then 6 million, 10 million, 21 million in a matter of 3 or 4 years. And your infrastructure is not in place. You don't have the right people. And then you'll make these quick decisions being an entrepreneur that'll come back to haunt you down the road. So you never know, but you need to think through those decisions that are, just think through, is this the right thing? What'll be a year down the road? Because it comes back to haunt you. And I'm guilty of that. I look back now and look at some decisions I made in business and I think, why the hell did I do that? It looked good on paper, and it's just the way it is, just life. I think any advice I give any entrepreneur is, if you're really a serial entrepreneur, just watch your growth, because you just think you think you're invincible. You think you can kill, you can do no wrong. You never look at the downside. Here's what I'm going to do. This, and this. And I'm going to go, well, what about this? Oh, that'll never happen. Like me with the white ink. I never looked at the downside of the white ink,
No, I really appreciate that, because I feel like it's not just about the business entrepreneurs. It's more just a life thing. If you took what you just said and broke it down, I feel like anybody should take the time and think through things a little bit instead of just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, whether it be a marriage or whatever, your kids or whatever. Anyway, just one of those things that I don't want to feel like I'm the old sage, because I've certainly had my ups and downs. But you kind of look back on life and realize that some of those decisions were wrong.
And
but other than that, I'm a balls out guy. If you are have an entrepreneurial spirit, then don't let anybody tell you can't do it. I think, because you probably even had relatives out in the t-shirt business. What are you going to get in that business for? Just go balls out.
And I think it's true that you have to, really think about, there's certain decisions that require more thought than others. Sometimes you just have to shoot from the hip because it needs to be, a quick decision.
Yeah.
The bigger decisions in my life, I've usually, maybe I even am guilty of overthinking. But what's important at some point, and sort of like the people that came and took your class or bought your book and then never started the business because they were just afraid to start, is that sometimes you just have to make a decision and do it. And you don't really know if the decision is going to be bad or good, or fortunate.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Because even if you fail, and maybe this is even is true for yourself, and if it doesn't work out and it fails, well, then maybe it leads to something else.
No, I agree.
But it's good, so.
Because as an entrepreneur, you need to make that quick decision oftentimes. It's either yes or no. I was fortunate to have a wife of 55 years who was always there to kind of say, now let's not do this. This is too much. This is risky, and have a partner. And I feel bad. I don't know you guys obviously that well, but I feel bad for a business person that doesn't have someone else that is an equal as far as advice and stuff, like a partner or a wife or a spouse or a business partner to bounce stuff off of. Because otherwise you're just flying, you're just doing it. And you often need that person to say, wait a minute, why don't you slow down a little bit? You're going 1,000 miles a minute here, and maybe slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. Me and Andy,
you guys have partners? In your business, or that it's you guys?
So I have my wife, and she's my partner in life and also in this business. And so, just like you said, because she's here, she understands it on a different level, I suppose, than if she wasn't, because I also know a lot of shop owners that They're also married and they have a life partner and stuff, but they don't really, maybe they don't get the business quite on the same level. And that's good and bad, actually, because sometimes it's better for her to be removed from here and then give me advice than it is if she's like in the loop. So I guess it goes both ways. And then Dylan, he, I think you did have a partner at first, right? And that, well, you can talk to that.
Yeah, I think even like with this or just on being on like social media and all this stuff is just advice I would give to anybody who's early in starting is to just start talking to people who do the same shit as you. And it's like, even with this podcast, like I could 6 months ago have had an idea of what I want to do in the shop, and I'll stew on it for 6 months or whatever I want to do. And I'll bring it up in episodes and I'll ask the guests, like, what do they think? Like I asked you about what would you do with, digital squeegee or whatever. It's like every time I bring that up, I take whatever you said and I put it in my brain and add it to what I've been thinking or what I've heard from everyone else. And at the end of however long I'm waiting, I'll be like, all right, well, this is my game plan. Instead of just me thinking about it, it's me getting advice from all these other people and then taking, pros and cons and everything else. So I think I said, there's things that me and Andy can share on the podcast that we talk about. And there's things that we call each other during the week. And we're like, dude, holy shit, like this was going on. And then I say, hey, dude, like fucking who cares? Do it this way or whatever. And then we talk about it and we cry and we wipe each other's tears. And then we go back to fucking doing what we're doing. So,
well, you have to pick yourself up in business.
Yeah.
Pull your panties up and just move forward.
Yeah. And it's the biggest thing I feel like a lot of people realize from like this show and all this other stuff. It's like, we're all in the same boat. We all have the same problems. We all have ups and downs. It's not just Instagram posts where it's nothing but beautiful prints all day long and everything's going perfectly. It's like, there's a lot of bullshit and there's a lot of things that go wrong and we're all doing it.
Well, like Scott said, though, the life of an entrepreneur is very lonely. And to have somebody in your corner is awesome. And if you don't, and that's what's so great about now in 2022 is that there's a podcast and we have experiences and we can share those experiences, because if you hear about an experience that someone else had and you maybe will have it the same experience and you'll say, hey, well, Andy or Dylan, they did that, or if Instagram or Facebook or all of these, Facebook groups, it's awesome, because they can go on there if they're brave enough and post that they're having an experience. And there's going to be some advice in there that's worth something, and so it wasn't like that 20 years ago.
It's a new world. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I can go on, I can track DTF and see what's going on and never have the machine. I mean, I can see who's pissing and moaning and who's loving it. And no, it's I think that's why I was probably successful, because I was always into media, whether it be videos or DVDs, before internet. And before YouTube was so popular. So, I mean, I was the only guy doing this kind of stuff. I mean, Ryan Moore was doing tons of videos, but I was the first guy to really do lots of videos and DVDs because there was nowhere else to go. Now it's everywhere, so it's changed the whole dynamic,
Do you have any shop hacks or questions for us?
A shop hack, meaning, give me your definition of a shop hack.
Anything that you've learned that's out of the norm, like if there was a trick or something you learned that you thought that changed a lot of things for you or made things a lot easier, that wasn't like in a book or in a normal how-to.
You told me to think about that, and I did think, but I didn't really. They're probably there, but nothing I can,
Well, I think you already gave us a bunch of nuggets of wisdom. Like that's
to me, that would be, and that's what I thought. I mean, I'd like to give out, because I feel that there's young entrepreneurs who maybe are afraid to make a move and afraid to go balls out, and maybe their spouse isn't on board with it. Who knows? But I always thought that if you're an entrepreneur, you just kind of hang it out there and take your lumps. I mean, like I said, there was guys that came to class over and over again because they were afraid of losing their insurance from their day job. I get that. You lose your benefits, you lose your insurance, you don't have that now. And so my advice was still to go out and do it. I mean, I went from my working out of my garage and I rented a building and I had a day job. I have had some jobs. I worked for a glass company selling glass around the state of Arizona. I had a company car, but in my travels, I would stop in and sell shirts. I was printing shirts out of my garage. And the company finally says, Scott, we think you're spending more time on your shirt business than you are on your job. And I quit and I rented a building and my business went through the roof because now I felt comfortable having people come into the showroom. I had a business. It changed the dynamic entirely. People have always asked me, well, when should I quit, get out of my garage and rent a building? And my advice had always been probably too much advice was just do it. You'll find your business is now doubling, tripling overnight because now you're not working a day job. You can concentrate on your business every day. You're not embarrassed to have somebody come by your house and see what you're doing because you have a place. And, I just felt they should just go ahead and do it. But just watch the growth. That's all.
Yeah, and I think if you don't do that, then you're going to regret it. So it's way better to try and fail than to just not try at all. So I say 100% I agree with you. At least try it.
Yeah. If it doesn't work out, you pull up your panties, you get a day job, you work again, but if you're entrepreneurial, you're going to start something else. It's just going to be in your blood, I think.
All right, I've got a couple listener questions. First one is from Liam from Flood Bowl. He says, yo, no question, but my trip to USSPI changed my life.
Thank you very much. See, I love hearing that stuff. It's rewarding, Ask him what year it came. Is he listening?
We just
now?
talked to him. He was the last episode that came out.
Oh, okay.
And did he say when he did it? He was
did it
early.
He was like a teenager.
He was like
high
17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're doing classes from 79 to just a few months ago when my son sold his shop. Mm-hmm. But to me, that's rewarding. I feel like I've touched somebody. I've had an effect on their life.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is I don't ever hear from the ones that said, screw you, Scott Fresener. I went to your class and I hated this business and I went broke, because they're gone.
Ruined my life.
Ruined my life.
Well, they can't comment on you because they live under a bridge somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I know. See, so
right.
Anyway.
Subakula asks, which is the best screen printing book in your opinion?
Well,
don't say mine. Yours.
Well, I'm not sure if there's other books out there. I'm not sure if there's other books out there because it's all on YouTube now. So I'm not sure who's printing a book. I mean, if you wanted a hard copy or
the funny thing is I always hear about your book. So you could just say your book.
My book. And it's free. Download it.
Didn't you have also
BizNetwork.com,
You had another book that was the Encyclopedia of Screen Printing or something like that.
I did bring my props. Oh.
Dang.
Oh my God. How many pages?
Seriously.
1,000 pages in 1986. Really. And not everybody knows about it because it was only in print for 3 or 4 years because we didn't sell it.
How do I get one of those?
Yeah, I want one.
I think you could go to Amazon. I think you can find use on Amazon. Seriously. But it was 1,000 pages. It even had a whole chapter on how to use the camera. I mean, it had some color.
I want that just to have. I'm not reading that fucking thing. There's no way.
No. This one was hermetically sealed 2 hours ago.
It's like holographic. You got fucking Charizard cards in there.
Anyway, yeah, that was going to be my retirement fund.
That's like a book you murder somebody with. That's like something you hit them over the back of the head.
Being the entrepreneur that I was, I thought, well, we're going to sell that. We'll sell 10,000 copies. We probably
wrote that thing.
Yeah, my wife and I wrote it. We actually hired a layout company to come into our office and lay it out. We shot all the photos. We had
900 pages of photos and like 100 pages of writings? There's no way.
No. It's got the how-tos, and we hired a guy called a stripper. Now, if you're an old in the print,
that's a different thing, Scott.
That's a different podcast. But a stripper was a guy that would take, in the old days of laying out the type, would strip in the type on what's called a big flat, and he would strip the 4-color process photos on each flat. We hired a stripper because the printer wanted $30,000 to strip this book.
That guy's getting a raw deal nowadays.
Anyway, he's out of a job now because now you got InDesign and it's all done on. But when this book was written, 86, it was really kind of pre-computer, and we wrote the book, and it took us 1.5 years to write it, and we sold 3,000 or 4,000 copies. But it costs a ton to reprint, and the reprinting would cost
because it's like 3 trees worth of paper.
Yeah, at least. And I'm glad you commented that. I dug one out earlier, thinking I'm going to show this.
One. I'm going to look that up when we get off here.
Look, it's called the Encyclopedia of Garment Printing, and I think you'd probably find a used one on Amazon.
I bet.
Anyway, yeah, I did write a book called the T-Shirt Book, back in the mid 90s, I think. It was just a coffee table book, pictures
That's
of
cool.
shirts. I got a lot
I love
of
stuff
Andy,
like that,
Andy
'cause
Anderson's
there's no
books
reading.
in there. Yeah, there's very little copy. And I hired a friend of mine who was a photographer to do all the photos. And I got people I knew, Andy Anderson, Rick Roth, and different people send in shirts.
I got to
And,
visit Andy's
you know.
shop. It was amazing.
Yeah,
So cool
amazing
to talk
guy.
to.
You know, he's moved on into motorcycle land like he always was.
Mhm.
So
Well, that's what I went and saw was his motorcycle shop, like where he
yeah.
had
Oh
all his
yeah.
prints and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. What a guy.
So cool.
Anyway.
All right. Tony from Tiny Fish says, when doing simulated color printing, what tips or workflow do you recommend for a color that's gaining too much?
Well, when I separate in Photoshop, I have it preset for 30% dot gain, but we all know that we're probably going to get more than that. But that's kind of the max you can do if you're going to preset it. So when I separate, and for my software, when I do it myself, it's 30%, but I might drop a color back 50 or 60%, knowing that at press, you're going to get too much dot gain. If that,
So you're looking at a specific color in a sim process, and you're like, I know this is going to gain because it's a whatever, like a red or something.
like a red, yeah,
You're automatically taking it back 30%.
little curve, yeah, automatically take it back
Okay.
30%. If it's a red or like a magenta on a CMYK,
Right.
the big beef is that magenta is just killing me. I always pull the magenta back. That's why I think I'm a good separator, only because of my experience. Yeah, I've been
Right.
around the block and I know what's going to happen.
I feel like
press.
that definitely matters with that kind of stuff.
One of I know you have other questions, but one of my bitches is somebody might post on a group, how do I separate? And there'll be some yin yang going, learn Photoshop or learn Illustrator, figure it out for yourself. You don't need any of these programs. Yes, I sell the program, but you've got Ultracept and other guys. All these programs, they speed it up. Nobody pays you to spend 4 or 5 hours screwing around the set of steps. So maybe you could do it in an hour with an automated program. And it
Mhm.
always irritates me that somebody's always going, well, you need to figure it out for yourself. Well, I think you're better off running your business than becoming an expert separator, frankly.
Mhm.
You have other questions?
Yeah. John's just wants to say congrats on 100. So thanks, Sean. Let's
Thank you.
see. Stokes Apparel says best advice for side hustle shops on how we should be approaching a growing shop.
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, side hustle meaning working out of your house.
Yeah,
Probably,
best
you would
advice for a
think.
side hustle shop. Yeah, so they want to know how to grow as a side hustle shop, like
That's a
printing on the
tough-
side.
It's a tough one. I mean, to me, growing is getting customers, and
I was
just-
going to say, I feel like you just keep doing it and
just keep doing it and keep
Dive into
tossing
it
it
more.
out. Yeah, I mean, I'm always surprised at people that will post on the groups, newbies. You know, where do I find customers? Duh, I'm sorry, everywhere. You know, you drive down the
Yeah.
street. You
Any-
just-
My advice to that would be is to hire somebody for production or hire somebody to do something. Like,
That
what
could
are you
be
either
spending?
production or
What are you
computer.
spending your time on?
yeah, pull a squeegee. You're out there
on
running
a
the
sec.
business.
Becker Supply has two. They said, when do we get a Shine on Floyd nationwide tour?
I gotta buy a tour bus. I gotta.
You got to
That's
do
a
a lot of
That's
steps.
a lot of
for
separations for my tour
seriously.
bus.
Mhm. And the second
Actually,
part
but-
is
But actually,
Go
back to this first. We are in Arizona, obviously. I'm working on a tour now to get us a little out of state to Albuquerque and Santa Fe. And the problem is with an old band like Old Guys, we're not a young band that's going to hop into a van, all of us, and share rooms. We're all old. We have spouses. We all want our own room, and that's the problem when you have an old band. Is that it isn't the
you
same
want
as
the
just-
comforts.
You want the comfort. You're just going to hop into a little van and we're going to go from city to city. That
I
doesn't-
went
Right.
to on what was it, Wednesday night? I went and saw Henry Rollins.
Oh
And
yeah.
It wasn't like a show. He
It was just a speaking thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked about how when he first got a sort of a audition, I guess, as they were playing a show in New York and he was there and they said, hey, you want to sing a song with us? And he came up on stage and sang it. And he said, oh, okay. Like I made it. Like it was so fun. Like that was the best probably moment of my life. But then he got home and then they went on with their tour and they called him and they said, hey, you want to come up to Detroit and do a whole show and be the lead singer? And he said, oh my God, he couldn't believe it. He was working at Haagen-Dazs, scooping ice cream for
Right.
like $3 an hour. And he said, okay. So he gets on a bus, he shows up in Detroit and his band picks him up from the station And they said, "Do you have any money?" And he's like, "I think I do." He pulled
Pay to
out
play.
he pulled out his pockets, and they said, "All right," and they took it. And they said, "Do you have any clothes?" And he said, "Yeah, I've got some, like a few things in my duffel bag." And he opened it up and showed them, and they took it. And he said, "If you ever see any pictures back then of Black Flag with like a Haagen-Dazs like shirt on, that was his. Like they
That's
didn't
so
buy
funny.
that
I
shirt
love
from
it.
him or
I
anything.
love
They just took his
I
stuff."
love it. I
And so
love
like you said, sort of, it's, you were living in, sometimes not even a hotel room. You were
right.
lucky
Sure.
to even have a hotel room.
Sure.
And you're traveling on the same bus and with
You're squatting in
Yeah.
little shit
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah, those days have gone for us older guys, because most of my band is 60 plus. My backup singers are a little younger, but most of us are either self-employed or retired, and so we don't want to share a little.
That makes sense.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yep.
You had other questions on the band?
Second part was we want Printers Boot Camp back in KY for the Tid Balls after party.
Holy shit, this guy's been around. What's his name?
It's Becker Supply.
Well, what he's referring to is my son was in Bowling Green, and we did the Printers Boot Camp there, and there was a little dive bar that was in. Somebody rated them the one in the top 10 dive bars in the country. Bowling Green, Kentucky, gets all these young cats out of Nashville, and Bowling Green is the home of Cage the Elephant. They were just a local band playing at Tid Balls, and Tid Balls is the place. Just go search Tid Balls. My wife and I, every weekend in Kentucky, would go to Tid Balls. We'd be the oldest people there, but there was less age discrimination in Kentucky. And we would close Tid Balls every weekend to these young indie bands that we'd never heard of, but they were fantastic. And so, yeah, so he must have gone out with my son, Michael. Michael would usually take students out to Tid Balls after one of our classes. It was always a perk.
Nice. And then Joanne, Andy's wife, asks, what's a surprising fun fact about you?
Surprising fun fact. I'm addicted to Grand Marnier, which is a very expensive, orange-based liqueur. I drink it every night. I like a good cigar. So my buddy Charlie Tobley and me and a few others that like cigars in the industry, we'll find our time to go have a quick smoke. And so I had open heart surgery 2 years ago. I have a big zipper scar on my chest. I had my prostate removed 2.5 years ago, robotically. They go in and do all that stuff. I'm real healthy now, but I had a little year and a half where I had my gallbladder removed under emergency removal. I had my.
What do you have left?
I don't know, really. Anyway,
The camera comes down. He's just like a chest up.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah. So anyway. And I met my wife playing at a bar when I think I was 18 and she was 16. I was playing in a hot band at Arizona State, and so I met my wife. We've been married all these years and been partners in crime. And luckily, she's very entrepreneurial. Thank God.
Yeah, so she can put up with the spirit you got.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's all I got for questions. Andy, do you want to do quick takes?
Yeah, let's do it. So what is one thing you need every day besides a cigar and Grand Marnier? Or just one thing.
Oh, see, you took out my two key
Yeah,
things.
I guess
my
the third
Grand Marnier,
thing.
my Grand Marnier and my cigar. An order for Seps so I can give it to the band. So
Good answer.
I feel like you're
You're the first
Because-
person to say work.
I don't know. It's when you're entrepreneurial, you probably live for work,
I
Yeah, but
agree.
it serves
I'm with you.
his love and his passion, in which
Yeah.
case music. And so, like,
Yeah.
hey, I want that. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean the
I get
band needs more high-powered lasers, and so those are expensive. So now I've got to save for those. All right, one more. Another question.
Yeah, we got a couple here. Hold on. Favorite snack?
Ding dongs.
All
Chocolate.
right. I'm not even
Chocolate,
going to
baby.
comment. I'm leaving
Chocolate.
I'm leaving it a ding dong.
Where is your happy place?
That's a tough one.
On
Hey, what-
stage, melting faces.
Kind of. I think because I'm a musician, I'm not that musician though that wants to go up there and shred the guitar and everybody going, how great. I'm just a bass player. And the bass players are kind of in the back. And so I enjoy seeing people be happy. So I'm happy on stage seeing that I'm making somebody else happy, playing The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon or something, so I enjoy that. I think traveling with my wife, my I was going back to Bowling Green twice a year and living there for 6 months. I had a house in Bowling Green for a while because my son moved there with my grandkids, and we went to see our grandkids. But the happiest times were the road trips. Head out of Phoenix, get up to I-40 and head across to go through Nashville to Bowling Green, and 3 days on the road and turn the music up and smoke a cigar in the wind and eating at some Denny's. You know, it was we loved traveling. Now we don't travel overseas because of COVID, but we love the traveling. That's probably a real happy spot for me, is travel.
I agree with that. What are you watching right now? Do you have any shows that you watch specifically? Or you're not a TV
Become
watcher?
a serial binge watcher. Right now I'm watching the and I won't spoil it. We're watching Ozark, which is the Netflix. Love it.
Well,
And
the part 2 just came out. What, like
I know,
2
and
days
that's
ago?
when we started. Well, we were trying to finish it all last night. We had 2 episodes left, but it was like midnight. And after you binge, but when you binge, you go, one more. Should we do one more? You know,
and then you're like, well, there's only 3 left.
I know. But last night it was like, there's only 2 left, but it's already midnight. So we're binging that. We just finished binging. We're binging now. Better Call Saul, because and we re-binged for the 3rd time Breaking Bad. We watched the whole series again because we were kind of out of binge shows, and so we're definitely we like when there's nothing to binge. We're like, what are we going to watch tonight? You probably do it. You sit there and you scroll around for an hour looking for a movie, and you're going, what the hell?
That's the saddest time.
Oh, it is. But you find a show you can binge. You just go one to the next, right? Just like that. So anyway, so yes, I'm guessing you're probably watching Ozark.
I haven't started it yet. I saw it was out. I've been busy all weekend, so I'll start it this week.
You'll like it. You'll like it. And Better Call Saul just started, I think, a week ago. And it's kind of fun. If you watch Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul is pre Breaking Bad. So you see characters maybe you saw as major characters, you see them as minor characters in Better Call Saul. You get introduced to them. And so it's kind of cool. So,
yeah, for sure. Andy?
2 autos or 10 autos?
You'd probably be happier with 2. You might be happy with 10, but you'd have all the headaches. I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm probably not the guy to ask. I'd probably have 10 because I'm Scott. 2 wouldn't be enough, so
That's a good answer. It depends on the person. It depends on what they like lifestyle wise. Like, you seem like you want to go bigger, go home. So
yeah, but then I've seen the dark side of that. That you make it a mistake. You buy that 10th auto, and that may be that one mistake you make that you won't know till a year later when a pandemic hits again. Who knows?
Do you believe in aliens, Sasquatch, anything like that?
I believe in aliens. Yeah, I do. Sasquatch, I'm not sure. I mean, if you watch any of the, enough stuff on Netflix where here's a picture, he's a real guy, but I do believe there's life elsewhere. I'm not religious. I'm not that guy, but I do believe that there's something out there. I don't understand how the hell we got all made like this. How diverse
we were having. I should ask this as the question instead. We were having a discussion at work a little while ago of what would be creepier, would be to see an alien or see a ghost. And I was like, ghost 100% would be way creepier than seeing an alien. What do you guys think?
Well, I agree, because I think an alien is a given. When they were going to say,
to me, it's like another animal or another creature. It's like there's just another thing out there. But a ghost is like, you're fucking. That means they could just like pull you to like hell or whatever. It's like,
how do you explain it? Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's terrifying.
But I think they're out there.
I feel like an alien. I'd be like, what's up, dude? Like, take me somewhere cool.
I mean, because I'm older now, and as you get older, you do think about death, and I've had my surgeries. But every day I see something, a new breakthrough for Alzheimer's, a new breakthrough for cancer, all these breakthroughs.
3D printing body parts.
Oh my God, yeah. And I'm thinking, I hope I live long enough to see all this stuff. But it seemed to me maybe everybody's felt this every 10 years, but I think right now, because of the mRNA vaccine, that they're now using for other stuff, for cancers, I'm thinking maybe we're on the edge. And now they've turned back, your skin growth in mice to 30 years younger or whatever, I'm thinking, I just hope I live long enough now.
And they can just reprint you.
Yeah.
Just take your brain out and put it in a fresh body. And you're like, hell yeah.
Reboot.
Right. So, that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, what's for dinner?
What's today? Sunday? Pork chops. I'm from Iowa originally. I'm a meat and potatoes guy.
Pork chops and applesauce.
Not applesauce. I was actually raised on cream corn. I was raised near a place called Walnut, Iowa, which is 50 miles from Omaha. And I left when I was 12. My grandparents raised me, and it was meat and potatoes every night because we were in cow country, corn country,
Yeah.
Midwest. You guys know about that.
Mhm.
I do kind of miss that. Where I'm living now, there's trees. I'm in Arizona, but you kind of forget that there's a lot of places where you can't see more than 100 yards because of a tree. And so when you get away from trees, you kind of miss that. But when you are in trees, and when I used to come back from Kentucky back into the desert in Arizona, and you can see for 200 miles, you miss that. And so I find that kind of the seasons are kind of weird. I do kind of miss some of the Iowa. I don't miss the mosquitoes and stuff like that. But here I got scorpions and black widows and
No thanks. Pass. Hard pass for me.
yeah, stuff like that. So anyway.
Well, anyway, Scott, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Like I said, this is our 100th episode. So
I appreciate it. I'm stoked. I was stoked when you emailed me because I follow your show, and I didn't want to reach out to you thinking, that'd be a good interview. I kind of thought, well, if you guys want to have me on, you'd have me on. And I haven't retired. And that's another reason I like doing this kind of stuff, is let people know that I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. And I still have a local screen print shop that the guy calls me all the time. And he's the guy that printed my shirts, and I know I could go over the use of the equipment, but I still have my finger in it, and so I've enjoyed talking about this. And I probably rambled too much. I have too much to say, but I've had a long life in this industry, and it's been very, very good to me. And I've enjoyed it. I've made so many friends, around the world.
That's the best part. Yeah.
And so it's been real rewarding. And I do thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to say thank you for all you've done for this industry. It's huge and it means a lot. And one of my favorite places is Arizona. And I'm going to try and catch a show. Maybe we can coordinate it.
You let me know. Really, I'll tell you where we're at. And if we can't do that, at least let's get together and hook up. I live in Scottsdale, and it's a nice place, and definitely hook up. And if you could catch a show, that'd be really cool, by the way. And if you go really early, I'll put you to work. You got to lay mic cables and.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Deal.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thanks
dude.
guys. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thank you.